A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Now, the Goldbergs. Well, Molly's taken her first driving lesson. The car is smashed, and Molly's had a nice shaking up. Total damages, a bad temper for Jake. But as Molly groans a little upstairs, she has the consolation of knowing that she was learning to drive in order to help Mr. Way. Way is just out of prison, and he's been trying to make a living in the chicken business, only none of the townspeople want to deal with him. So Molly set out on an individual crusade. Well, today, as Molly lies in bed, she knows that a woman has come to see Mr. Way and is sitting downstairs. And Molly, of course, is curious as a cat. Listen.
Rosalie, Papa's talking to the lady that came to see Mr. Way, huh?
Yes, Mom.
Uh-huh. And did Papa ask her many questions?
No, he just told her to wait, that Mr. Way would be home any minute.
Oh. What does she look like?
Well, she's stouter than you are.
Stouter, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's stouter than me. Why, Rosalie, why can't I go downstairs?
Why should you walk down the stairs, Mom?
Because I'm feeling all right. My shoulders are exquisite already. If I lay here so I'll feel right.
Papa will be angry if you go downstairs, Mom. I'll tell the lady to come up here.
Up here. I'll tell the lady to come up here. How does it look? How does it look? A strange lady that came to see Mr. Ray. She should come to my room. The room is so upset. Rosalie, just give me my flat heel. You'll see how I'll walk beautiful.
You'll see, Ma. Papa will yell right in front of the lady.
He wouldn't, Rosalie. You'll see he wouldn't. You see? It's nothing. I'll just stretch a little bit. I'll feel better. My flat heels down.
Ma, please don't.
All right, Rosalie. You know your mama. You know your mama. When I can't, so I don't, and when I can't, so I will. My dress, Rosalie. My dress with the buttons and the buttonhole.
All right.
And I'll slip on it. Who can she be? Who?
After all, Mom, Mr. Way must have friends and relations.
Of course.
There are some people that you never think of as having families or friends.
Button me down. Button me.
Must be a terrible thing to be the last survivor of a family.
There's never a last survivor, Rosalie. Because the last is only the beginning of the next. Generations come and generations go.
But some families die out.
No, Mommy. They become part of other families, see? Only one thing is terrible. Only one thing. And that is to be without a friend in the world. A last survivor of your own badness. Rosalie, all right? Got all the buttons buttoned?
Uh-huh.
Is my hair all right? Huh?
Are you all right, Ma?
I'm wonderful. Wonderful. I feel better already, I feel. Come down. Just push me down a little bit.
You're all right,
pull me down. All
right.
right. So come. I feel better already, Rosalie.
I wish you wouldn't go downstairs, Mom.
I'll go down. You'll see how beautiful. Close the door down. Just hold my hand when I'm walking down the stairs. That's
Please
all.
be careful, Mom.
I'm careful like Mary's little lamb. I'm careful.
All right.
See how wonderful I'm walking. See, I hold my hand, and I'm walking wonderful.
Be careful, Ma, please.
I'm careful, beautiful. See how wonderful I'm walking. Just like nothing but. I told Tamara to fix the carpet, and he didn't do it. See that? Papa must be in the front room with the lady, huh?
Uh-huh.
See?
I'm sure Mr. Ray will be back shortly. Molly?
Yeah.
Why did you get up?
I'm feeling very well, dear. I'm Mrs. Goldberg, and this is my daughter, Rosalie.
The lady is waiting for Mr. Ray.
I worked for Mr. Way for many years.
Oh.
Sit down, Ma, please.
Yeah. Excuse me, I was just yesterday in an automobile accident.
She was trying to sell chickens for Mr. Ray.
It's odd for me to think of Mr. Way selling chickens.
Won't you take off your coat, please? Rosalie, put a little tea.
Yes, Ma.
And cookies.
All right, Ma.
And fruit.
Yes.
And jam and jelly.
All right, Ma.
You said you worked for Mr. Ray?
Molly.
Many years you worked for him?
The lady said for many years.
Many years?
Yes, many, many years.
Then you're not...
Excuse me, please.
Does Mr. Ray expect you?
Oh, no, I'm still working for his wife.
His wife?
They're divorced.
Oh.
When the trouble started, she sued for divorce.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't have stayed on with her, only you have to live. And when you get to be married, and when you get to be married, and when you get to be married, and when you get to be my age, it's not so easy finding the right place. So I stayed. But me heart was never in the cooking after Mr. Way wasn't with us. I always took such pride in the cooking. It was a joy. Never did we have a big dinner party but what Mr. Way would come into the kitchen and tell me how good everything tasted. And he put a $5 bill in me hand. Paid for me boy's college education and sent the gardener's boy to the seminar. He's a priest today, and there's nobody but Mr. Way to thank for it. We was all broken up when the tragedy came, I can tell you that.
Oh, that's my sporty barking. Maybe Mr. Ray's coming to close the yard now. Excuse me, I'll see.
Mom,
Yeah.
Mr. Ray's coming.
Yeah. That's Mr. Ray coming to close the yard. Come here, please. See, that's Mr. Ray coming.
Oh, not that man in overalls. Oh, no. That's not Mr. White. You don't know the elegance of the man. Oh, no.
Lie down, Sporty. Lie down.
How are you, Mr. White?
Why didn't you let me know you were coming, Bertha?
Excuse me, I'll just see to the tea, please, Rosalie.
Yes, Mama.
You made quite a long trip to see me.
Not too long, Mr. White. I had a few days off, and I found out where you were, so I came up to see you. I'm very glad to see you again.
I'm glad to see you. You look very well. How's your son?
He's fine, Mr. White. He got a very good job on the coast as an engineer.
I'm happy to hear that.
I just got a letter from him last week. I got it here. He sent his regards, and he said when he comes east in a few months, he would like the privilege of seeing you. And remember the gardener's son became a priest.
Yes.
He sent his regards.
What's his father doing?
Oh, nothing now. He's got enough to live on. He worked for you for many years, Mr. White. You were generous to all the people who worked for you.
Thank you, Bertha.
You're looking very well.
Thank you.
Mr. White, I also came. The fact is, I was thinking...
Oh, say what you want to say, Bertha. We can mention the fact that I was in prison.
Well, you remember every year for 10 years, you used to give me a bonus of $100. And, well, I saved it up. And now that my son's doing very well and I'm all right, I thought it would be only right and proper if I could... Well, the fact is, here,
What do you mean?
the money. I know they took everything you had, but this is mine. You gave it to me and it's mine. And I don't have any need of it. And, Mr. White, please, I want you to have it. All those years I was glad I had it. And I waited for you to get out so I could give it to you. It's yours and you gave it to me.
Thanks, Bertha. But I don't need it. I've got a business here. I don't need any money.
I came all the way.
I'm glad you did. I'm happy to know it. But I don't need it. Thanks.
Well, I guess then there's no more to say.
I'm glad you came, Bertha.
I'm still working for Mrs. White.
She isn't Mrs. Way any longer. I don't want to know anything about her.
She's not very happy.
Why should she be?
Well, Bertha has done much more than bring Mr. Way's past back to him. She's brought a little of it to Molly Goldberg, and it's going to make a difference now.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, one man whose personality belies his name is Quizmaster Groucho Marx. Because Mr. Marx is hardly one of the grouchy kind, when it comes to welcoming guests and dispensing good humor, on his Wednesday night quiz show, You Bet Your Life. Why don't you tune in and hear for yourself tomorrow? And while you're listening, don't forget that each Wednesday night there's more great entertainment when Jack Bailey and contestants play Truth or Consequences. And all of the staff on Airtime join stars Giselle McKenzie in bringing you top musical listening. Enjoy music and fun tomorrow night on this station. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, the dramatization of a story by Jerry Soule, The Seventh Order. Brentwood, Illinois, would have been just about like any other average community of 10,000 had it not been for Presser College, one of the country's finest small institutions of learning. Its residents were used to the pranks, the hazings, and the practical jokes of the students. But even Professor Ansel Tomlin was surprised when the blue humanoid came down the street and up to the porch where the professor was sitting in an old wicker rocking chair.
Pardon me.
Of course.
You are Professor Ansel Tomlin.
Yes, and you, I take it, are somebody from one of my psychology classes dressed up as a sort of a robot.
No. I am George of Xanthar.
Who?
I am here to learn all I possibly can learn of the planet Earth and its inhabitants. Less than 10 minutes ago, I landed not far from here in a spaceship, which I subsequently blew up and destroyed.
Now, let me explain. I am Tomlin of Brentwood. Less than 10 minutes ago, I was sitting on my porch peacefully marking exam papers. I intend to resume right now. Helen, would you get the phone?
It is your wife's sister calling with reference to the explosion of my spaceship.
Sure it is.
She merely wants to ascertain that your family was not affected.
Listen, George, be a good fellow and...
Oh, Mike.
Well, don't be alarmed, dear. It's a fraternity initiation or something.
Oh, well, it does look like the real thing. Oh, did you know there was an explosion outside of town?
An explosion?
Yes, blast of undetermined origin is what they said on the radio.
Oh?
My sister just called. She heard about it in the local station and wanted to make sure we were all right.
I see.
Well, I have something in the oven. My goodness, that's a wonderful costume.
Her sister lives 20 miles away. How did you know she'd call?
My mind circuits are telepathic. They pick up all conscious thought to a distance of some 200 miles.
It couldn't be you arranged the whole thing, that it wasn't really her sister. How did you get here? Who or what are you?
I am a machine. The finest, most complicated machine ever made. I have a rather unique history, too.
Who made you?
Ages ago, on Xanthar, there was a race of humans. They made the first robots. Rather crude affairs. We classed them as first-order robots. They are still used for menial tasks to some extent.
And what order are you?
The highest, naturally. A seventh-order robot. Or rather, a humanoid. We are the first in which there is not an automatic, no harm to humans cutoff.
I begin to see.
You will become aware of the fact that I am superior to you and to the rest of your race. I need no oxygen. I am never ill. I need no sleep. Every experience is indelibly recorded on circuits and is instantly available.
Tell me, George, do you have feelings?
I have an electronically controlled endocrine balance.
It's very interesting. And what is your mission here on Earth?
For the moment, I am here to study. I will live with you until it is complete.
You will what?
I will live with you. I will be with you all of your waking hours. While you sleep, I will go through your library. I need nothing. I want nothing.
Just a moment. What about my privacy?
When you desire privacy, I will study someone else. Your wife, perhaps. The female should be interested.
George, old man, I'm terribly sorry, but you'll have to wire back to your masters to make other arrangements.
That will be quite impossible.
Really?
You see, I have no master.
Well, what about those humans back in Xantha, the ones who invented you seventh-order humanoids?
Oh, they are all quite dead. We destroyed them.
Destroyed?
You look alarmed. It was, after all, they or us. You see, our endocrine system permits us pride in ourselves. Naturally, being proud of ourselves, we objected to being ordered about in an incompetent way. So,
you killed them?
Exactly. Now, shall we go inside and inform your wife of my visit?
Suppose I refuse.
Professor, do you see that small dog playing on the lawn across the street?
Yes.
I will lift my arm and point at it. Observe.
It vaporized.
Exactly. Now then, shall we go in?
Yes. We'll go in.
Oh, there you are. I see you brought your friend.
Helen, this is George. George of Xanthar. George is a machine.
Well, anybody can see that. It's the most convincing costume I ever saw.
Helen, it isn't a costume.
No?
No. He's really a machine.
Oh.
He's staying with us.
What?
Whether we like it or not.
Well, really, Ansel.
We have no choice.
I am a seventh-order humanoid. I detect that your mind does not comprehend. I am here as an advanced scout for my race. After we establish a station here on Earth...
I don't like this. Now, would you be kind enough to leave my house, young man?
You are very slow to comprehend.
I comprehend that I have a lot to do, and I'd appreciate it if you leave. Otherwise, I'm going to call the police.
You may call anyone you choose, Mrs. Thomas.
I'll have you arrested.
I assure you I can detect your intention long before you have time to do me any harm.
Well, we'll just see about this. Hello? Get me the police.
Helen, it's useless.
I can follow the call through the phone wire. Captain Townsend will answer.
Captain Townsend.
Captain, I want to report a robot.
A what?
A thing. It won't leave my house.
Who is this?
I'm Mrs. Tomlin, Professor Ansel Tomlin's wife, 44 Crescent Road.
I'll send the car over.
Now we'll see.
Is this the character that's been giving you trouble?
Yes, this is the one, officer.
Talked to you before about ruining the flower bed, Sonny. This time I'm taking you in.
I would advise you not to touch me. I cannot risk any damage.
I'll see about that. Come on outside.
I prefer to remain here until I complete my mission.
You do, huh? You know what this is?
It is a weapon you call a service revolver.
That's right. And you'll either march out of here or I'll use it on you.
That would be most unfortunate.
All right, come on.
Officer, let me warn you. He's
March.
dangerous.
March now. I'll count to 3.
Officer, please.
1, 2.
Oh, no.
I regret it, but he was actually going to pull the trigger. Only to frighten me. But I cannot risk damage. He might have miscalculated and struck me with a bullet.
Ansel, I'm frightened.
There is no need for fear. You have only to accept the fact that the Seventh Order is coming to operate the planet for your benefit.
Ansel.
Helen, there's no use trying to do anything just yet. Now go next door to Mrs. Coleman. Tell her what's happened. I'll talk to George.
Oh, but I don't...
Please, Helen?
Well, all right.
Do you really think that you, a single robot, can conquer the Earth and make its people do your bidding?
I can.
Suppose it were demonstrated to you that you could not, that you could be destroyed.
If that were so, I would naturally report that this planet is unfit for development by the Seventh Order.
Well, you know they'll have you taken into custody for killing the officer.
I cannot permit it.
There will be needless slaughter.
Unless you can convince your people it is useless to attack me.
Will you let me try?
I have no desire to prevent you. Go ahead. I detect that you are going to call the newspapers and the local television station and hold a press conference.
Yes.
I also detect that you have a plan to overcome me.
Oh?
I like that.
Really?
Yes. You see, in order to test this planet for development, I must know whether any of you are truly dangerous to us. You are a superior type of man, Professor. I welcome any plan to conquer me that you care to attempt.
Okay, George. At least we know where we stand. I'll phone the newspapers.
Quiet! Quiet, please! Quiet!
Hold it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Henry Bennett, broadcasting from a sound truck parked in front of the home of Professor Ansel Tomlin in Brentwood, Illinois. At the moment, Professor Tomlin is seated on his front porch. Next to him is a strange-looking blue robot-type creature, also seated on a chair. At the moment, we don't know if this is a hoax or not, but Professor Tomlin, a highly respected man here at the university, has called a press conference to introduce what is supposedly a creature from another planet. Professor Tomlin is about to speak, and we'll try to catch his words.
Quiet, please. Gentlemen, I wish to present to you George of Xanthar. Yes, now, just a moment. George is a machine. Probably the most dangerous machine ever invented. He is telepathic as well. He can read your thoughts like a book. He knows exactly what each of you is thinking at this very instant.
Professor!
Yes?
Do you expect us to swallow this nonsense?
Not without proof, gentlemen.
Can George do his stuff for us? Let him tell me what I'm thinking right now.
You are thinking about a blonde young woman named Laura, with whom you will attend a show tonight.
Come on. Well, he happens to be right, but we've seen mind readers before. Let him do something else.
Now, I did not call you gentlemen here for a demonstration of magic. I called you here in the hopes that a good deal of needless bloodshed might be avoided. Less than half an hour ago, I watched this creature completely vaporize a policeman who was trying to arrest him. I expect that the authorities will be here any minute. I hope I can convince you and them that it is futile.
Well, I certainly do. Something like this about a guy. Either you're nuts or you think we are. I don't believe this machine killed a cop. If a cop was killed, a human did it, trying to blame it on the machine.
Now, gentlemen, I don't know how I can prove it. Perhaps if George will demonstrate his ability to vaporize...
Observe the oak tree in the front yard. Now.
Now, do you see?
I see, but I don't believe it. Boys, this is some kind of mass hypnotism. Maybe the tree was rigged up in advance.
I swear to you...
If George of Xanthar is all he's cracked up to be, let's see what he does when I toss a rock at him.
Don't be a fool.
Here goes, George!
Stop him! I warned you. I tried to warn you.
Okay, everybody stand back. Stand back. Charlie, get an automatic rifle set up. Check, Chief. Professor, I advise you to step away from that kid.
Captain, for your own sake, don't try anything.
Step away, Professor.
Very well, but I warn you.
Okay, now don't fire till I'm ready, boy.
Right.
Now then, George of What's-This, we don't know who's inside that tin suit, but I'm giving you just 10 seconds to come out.
Captain,
Hey, you're wanted on suspicion of murder. Now come out. All right, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we'll have to terminate our broadcast. What started out as a good-natured hoax or publicity stunt has turned into a bloody massacre, as the bodies of some 6 policemen on the lawn of Professor Tomlin's home will attest. I don't know exactly what is happening here, but I can say this: George of Xanthar is no hoax. He or it is the spearhead of a race from outer space that's come to conquer the Earth.
Have they all gone, Helen?
Yes.
Where is he?
In your library, reading.
Are the policemen still outside the house?
They're walking up and down. Oh, I hope they don't...
Yeah, they have orders not to try to harm him.
Ansel?
Yes?
What are we going to do?
I don't know.
Oh, listen. He's coming.
Professor, Mrs. Tomlin, I have decided to walk through your town to learn more about its buildings and people.
And kill a few more humans?
Killing humans affords me no pleasure whatsoever. I kill only when damage to myself is possible. I hope that no one will attempt to harm me.
George, let me warn you now that this affair has gone beyond the confines of this town.
I am well aware of that, Professor. I am aware of a phone call being made this instant by your mayor to the commander of the Illinois State Guard.
If you're smart, you'll return to your ship and your planet.
My ship is destroyed. I could instruct you to build a new one, of course. But as I have no intention of leaving...
Then you will be destroyed.
No. I will destroy first.
Have you no conscience?
A conscience is a fifth-order failing. Needless baggage. Good evening.
Hello, Professor Tomlin. Yes. Yes, I will.
Who was it?
The mayor and the chief of police have called a meeting of the citizens of Brentwood at the college gymnasium tonight.
Ansel, you're not going.
I must.
But no...
Helen, there's much more at stake here than my life or yours. Civilization itself depends upon our standing up to this machine. I'm going to the meeting.
Gentlemen, as mayor of Brentwood, I call this meeting to order. As you know, there is loose in our city a being with one purpose, to prepare it for conquest by similar beings. I think Professor Tomlin can tell us most about this being.
If we could determine the source of George's power, he might be overcome. He is obviously vulnerable to force, such as a speeding bullet if it hit the right spot. However, he has the ability to read intent long before the commission of an act. He is probably listening to me now, even though he may be far away.
I think
Now, Mr. Mayor, why not track him down and all attack at once? Some of us would probably die, but he couldn't strike us all dead at once.
Gentlemen, this humanoid is able to keep track of several hundred things simultaneously. As a matter of fact...
Gentlemen. You are working yourselves up neatly. You simply do not appreciate what it would mean to dedicate yourselves to the fulfillment of the seventh-order destiny. Your lives will be made most pleasant and happy by us.
Yeah, why did you kill 6 cops?
If they're so powerful, bring them back to life.
How do you want to be buried, Rover?
Yeah, let's get them, man.
And eyewitnesses report that in the end, when all were gone, George of Xanthar stood alone on the platform of the gymnasium. There was no movement except the twitching of the dead and those trampled by the crowd. Among the survivors was Professor Ansel Tomlin, who originally...
Well, that's that.
What next?
I don't know, Helen. I don't know.
Oh, what's that?
Sounds like an air raid alert.
That's peculiar. They didn't announce it.
Turn on the radio. Hurry.
We interrupt to bring you a special message. All residents of Brentwood are advised to go to their basements or convenient bomb shelters. The governor has announced that units of the National Guard have managed to corner the robot, George of Xanthar, in the town square. Tanks and mortars will be used in an attempt to destroy the creature. Again, go to your nearest bomb shelter.
Oh, dear.
They'll never be able to destroy him.
Well, where are you going?
Up to the roof.
The roof?
I can see the square from there.
Well, I'm coming with you.
Just as you like.
What's happening?
He's vaporizing every tank and gun they bring up.
Oh, Ansel, let's get away from here. Oh, what's that?
Those are Army jets. We'll see how effective he is now. Good Lord, a whole squadron up in smoke. It's no use. Can't you see it's no use?
Ansel, come inside, please.
Oh, very well.
Oh, if only there was something we could do to tell
Not
him.
as long as he can read our every conscious thought before we can act.
What is it?
Our every conscious thought. I wonder if...
What is it,
Nothing.
Ansel?
Nothing, Helen.
And the Army reports that the countryside around Brentwood is deathly still. The blue humanoid, George of Xanthar, is still standing in the middle of the town square, where he's been standing for 3 days now. We'll keep you informed of developments. The military urges everyone to keep calm and go about your business as usual. There is no danger to anyone who is not attacking the humanoid.
No danger. He wants to keep more of them from landing. Ansel, are you going to sit there with your head in your hands forever? Well, come have some dinner. Ansel?
Yeah, it might work.
Where are you going?
Washington.
What?
I'm going to Washington. Would you be good enough to pack my overnight bag? I can catch a plane out of Chicago in about 2 hours.
But why? What for?
I'm going to talk to the Pentagon.
What do you tell them?
I'm going to tell them to surrender to George of Xanthar.
Our microphones are here at the edge of the town square in Brentwood, Illinois today, ladies and gentlemen, to witness the most unusual spectacle of modern history. A discussion of terms whereby the United States of America may surrender to the humanoid George of Xanthar. For the occasion, an honor guard of 22 servicemen from all branches and all parts of the country has been chosen. In just a moment, the honor guard will accompany General of the Army's Walter Pitt, who will discuss the surrender. The honor guard is advancing to the edge of the square. The robot is standing there now, carefully eyeing the soldiers. Every ounce of his concentration seems to be going into it. Actually, we're told his telepathic circuits are probing their minds for some hint of danger. A thought, a flicker of an eyelash may be sufficient for him to vaporize all of them. General Pitt is about to speak.
George of Xanthar.
I hear you, General.
I have been instructed to consult with you about your intentions toward our country and the world in general, with a view to reaching some sort of agreement with you and others of your kind, who you say will invade the earth. May I approach?
One moment. I perceive no intent to harm me. There is one man among your soldiers, however, who has an illogical thought. Will the soldier who is thinking the thought, 11 o'clock, step closer?
Do as he says.
Does 11 o'clock mean anything to you, soldier?
No, sir. It's running through my mind, but it don't mean a thing to me.
My examination of your thoughts tells me you speak the truth. Very well. We will proceed with the talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tense moment. The general and the humanoid are discussing terms. The soldier who was questioned about the thought, 11 o'clock, has stepped back into the ranks and is holding his rifle at attention like the others. I perceive it's now 10:59 a.m. If there is any significance to the thought about which the soldier was questioned, we'll know in 1 minute.
We of Xanthar, gentlemen, would not want to improve a planet which could not be educated and would continually oppose our program. Therefore, I am glad to see your willingness to discuss. After my message goes out, there will be a landing party on Earth within a few days. While waiting for the party, however, there are certain preparations.
Just list them for us.
Your government will naturally have to turn over complete authority to us. Afterward, we will utilize your press and radio to disseminate our instructions to your people. Simultaneously, in other nations, the same procedure will be carried out by our
Ladies and gentlemen, it's happened. At exactly 11 a.m., 10 soldiers in the honor guard instantaneously fired their weapons into George of Xanthar. Apparently explosive bullets have blown him to smithereens. The remains are lying scattered all over the square. People are pouring in, kissing each other, shouting.
Ansel, you're home.
Yeah.
Oh, you've heard the news. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful, really wonderful. I'm sorry I couldn't come home sooner. It would have spoiled my whole plan if I got within telepathic range.
Your plan?
Yes.
But what? How? What?
Just a matter of simple psychology. Those men in the honor guard.
What about them? Did you know any of them?
Not exactly, but I did have the job of hypnotizing 10 of them.
Hypnotized?
That's right. You see, each of those men was hypnotized. And while he was under, we planted a post-hypnotic suggestion, namely, to fire at George of Xanthar when a soldier named Charlie started to cough. Charlie was told to cough at 11 o'clock. Before we released them from hypnosis, we told them to erase everything from their conscious memories. I was staking everything in the hope that George could only tune in on the conscious mind, not the subconscious, and it worked. Yeah, there was nothing to be reached by George's prying mind, so we never knew what was going to happen. At 11 o'clock, the soldier named Charlie coughed. The men raised their guns and fired. And that was the end of George of Xanthar. Now, if you don't mind, I've got some exam papers to mark.
On a planet many millions of miles away, a red light, one of many on a giant control board, suddenly winked out. A blue humanoid made an entry in a large book, System 29578. Planet 3 inhabited. Too dangerous for any kind of development. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the Alan Cogan story titled In the Cards. It was one thing to safeguard the future, but something else to see someone you love cry in terror 2 years from now. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Seventh Order, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Jerry Soule and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were James Monks, Nelson Olmsted, Kate Wilkinson, James Rafferty, Dick Hamilton, Reese Taylor, Jim Stevens, Robert Hastings, Wayne Chappell. The commentator was W.W. Chaplin. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. The Wonderful World of Robert Benchley on Biography and Sound tonight on NBC Radio. In just a moment, X-1. But first, some of the funniest situations you've ever witnessed occur every Wednesday night when the devilish imagination of MC Jack Bailey sets to work on NBC's Truth or Consequences. You won't believe it until you hear it, so listen in tomorrow. Then another laugh session is in store later on with the wise and witty Groucho Marx as he and contestants play You Bet Your Life. While for the melodic note in your Wednesday evening schedule, it's music and fun on Airtime with Giselle McKenzie. And now, stay tuned for X-1 on NBC. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, Hallucination Orbit by J.T. McIntosh.
Chaka.
Sir?
Stand by to release pickup rocket.
Yes, sir.
We'll break orbit in 8 hours, have damage control pull the rods on the number 3 pile. Check leakage.
Yes, sir.
Try and have the locks cleared of all unessential personnel when that pickup rocket comes back. There's no point in making trouble.
I understand, sir. Pickup rocket away, sir.
Very well. Take over, Mr. Chaka. I will be in my quarters if I'm wanted. Well, now then, Mr. Danbury, make yourself comfortable.
Why, thank you, Captain.
You care for a drink? Scotch in that bulb, bourbon in the other.
No, thank you. I can't get quite used to squirting liquor from a rubber bulb as if I were oiling a bearing.
Well, you'd have a devil of a time pouring from a bottle in free fall. Well, how are you enjoying your trip?
It's very interesting. It's very nice of you to give me a lift. You know, it would have been 8 months before another ship came along.
A whole lot more than that with the main Pluto beam station out. Probably 8 years.
Really? That long? I thought the whole run to Pluto was under 18 months.
Yes, it is when the beam is running. See, Mr. Danbury, we left Earth 27 days after the beam broadcast from Pluto station broke. We've been spaceborne close to 6 years.
I suppose that's why you're on orbit around this planet, picking up supplies or something, eh?
No. This is a standard pickup for the space beam service. We sent a rocket down to take off a man who's been the only inhabitant of this planet for a little over 2 years.
Well, I expect he'll be glad to see you.
Well, there's no telling.
I know I would.
After 2 years of duty, Mr. Danbury, you might not know anything.
Oh, psychiatric troubles?
Solitosis. It's from the Latin, solace, alone.
Is that much of a problem?
Only in space. Here, look. Look through that port.
Seems empty.
It is. It's empty of horizon, sky, sunlight, ground. It's empty of time. It's empty of people. You can't live in it too long without something happening.
I see. But surely people have been alone before spaceflight.
Oh, yes, but they have been on the same world with other people. And that seems to make a difference. You take a hermit on Earth, he may spend his life trying to escape civilization. Put him on a deserted world, he turns psychotic.
Is there a cure?
Oh, sure. Put him back with people. At least about 40 people. That seems to be the critical number. See, I have 48 in this ship's complement. I could run her with about 18. But if I tried to, I'd have psychos on my hands 6 months after blast-off.
But then every one of these men on the beam stations, they're all alone, aren't they?
That's right.
Well, then they must get it.
They do. It wouldn't pay to leave more than 40 men on a space station. And less than 40 is too dangerous. Solitosis can be homicidal. So they leave one man. Now, he gets it all right. But you can snap him out of it just by taking him back to Earth. That's why I like to have as few people as possible around when the pickup ship comes back. It can be pretty unpleasant.
And what are they like? How does it affect them?
Well, so far, I've picked up about 28 space station officers. I've seen 28 different sets of symptoms. I wouldn't want the job of getting those guys out of their stations and into that pickup rocket. Captain here.
Pickup rocket. Signaling, sir.
All right, Mr. Chaka, prepare to receive the pickup. Alert the psychiatric staff, and I'll be right there. Would you care to see them bring them in, Mr. Danbury? You're welcome if you have a strong stomach.
I don't think so, thank you.
All right. Mr. Chaka, as soon as the rocket is secured, make a trajectory for the next station.
Yes, sir. That's Pluto Station 3.
Carry on. Pluto Station 3. That will be a honey of a job. He has been on that lump of rock all by himself for close to 6.5 years.
Pluto Station 3, Daily Report, Colin Ord, Space Officer. Everything is in fine shape. Through my port, I can see Mars, Earth, Saturn, Mercury. That little devil, he's hiding behind the sun. He's been quite furtive lately. Why I'm required to record this report every day escapes me, because it's quite obvious to any empty-headed brass hat at the central office that not a word of this has been worth the tape it's been recorded on for the last 5.5 years. But if it amuses you gentlemen to hear me wander, after all, you are paying for the tape. Which gives me a fine thought. I'm going to set the pickups through the whole station and leave the tape running. That'll give you a daily report all day, so keep on listening. Right now, I have the distinct impression that Earth is winking at me. A rather suggestive, lewd wink.
It helps to see the planets, doesn't it?
Oh, I thought you were reading.
I was. You know, if you hadn't been able to see the planets, you would have been a straitjacket case long ago.
Well, who knows I'm not one now? You don't, anyway.
Well, I think that so long as you talk sanely about madness, you can't be so far gone. It's out there somewhere, isn't it? The rescue ship.
Somewhere.
How long now, Colin? Where could they be now if they started whenever the beam failed?
I haven't worked it out since the last time you asked, but they could be very close.
Well, if the beam hadn't failed, they would have been here long ago, wouldn't they?
Oh, sure. 11 months with the beam, over 6 years without it. Well, anyway, that triple times 6 years' pay adds up to quite a pile.
You'll be set up for life when you get back to Earth, won't you? And at 29.
I'll be rotten with money.
Oh, well. It's been nice knowing you.
That's because of the others before you. I've learned a lot.
I'll never talk of the others. And above all, never talk of any others to come.
I'm sorry.
Would you like to play chess? It's a long time since we did.
I don't think so, not anymore. I'm a little tired of chess.
Oh, I know, I understand. I won't bother you. I'll go to my room, Colin.
Well, don't get upset.
I'm not. I understand. You're just tired of chess.
You still listening, gentlemen? That last few minutes might have been a little confusing. You'd like to know who I was talking to, wouldn't you? I'm afraid you can't hear her on the tape. That's Una. And I'll tell you what she looks like. You might find it interesting. She's beautiful, but rather cool. She always wears a white shirt and sharp, creased green slacks. She's got a good figure, but in a calm sort of way. She plays a good game of chess, although I beat her 2 out of 3 times. Of course, you know why you can't hear her on the tape. But I still know, too. That's a point in my favor, isn't it? That brings up an interesting question, gentlemen, because I'm tired of Una. I'm beginning to find her a long, cool, slightly unappealing bore. My problem is how to get rid of her. I can't just tell her to vanish. She's a little too real for that. I dreamed up a ship to bring her. I'll have to find another to take her away. Well, I might as well get to it. Oh, no. No, I'm not going to bother about the ship. It's too much mental effort. I'd have to think up everything I saw, and frankly, gentlemen, I'm too tired. Maybe she'll take the hint. A lot of them did. Susie did. And Alice. Oh. I remember Margie. There was a girl. A load of bricks had to fall on her head. Took me 4 weeks to get rid of her. No. Let Una figure her own way to get off the station. she's gone. I thought she might. Her ship's gone, too. Well, all in all, I don't think Una was really very satisfactory. One of these days I'll start believing in them, and I'll be really gone. Well, if I activate the main screens now, I'll see a ship coming in to land pretty soon. Every once in a while I have a thought that when the ship really comes, I'll think it's make-believe. Yes, there it is. A small ship curving in for a landing. I suppose I could check on the detectors. I know they register anybody within 100,000 miles, but I don't bother checking them anymore because someday the moment will come when I check the detectors, and I'll see just what I want to see. Well, the ship's coming in for a landing now. I'll go out to meet it. I'm rather interested to find out what the explanation will be for the girl. Naturally, it will be a girl. It's all right. You can take your helmet off. The air's all right in here.
You must be Baker.
Oh, good heavens, no. Baker was before me here. You can't be one of his dreams 7 years late. I'm Ord, Colin Ord.
Before we go any further, just how does solitosis affect you?
Well, that's new. None of them ever asked that before. It makes me see things that aren't there.
And you know there's nothing there?
Sometimes.
Do you know I'm here?
I'm making a point of not wondering about it.
Well, one thing you can be sure of. This. Do you see this? This is a gun. I just want you to know I'm not heaven's little gift to lonely space station officers. Is that clear?
Oh, yes. Yes. What's your name?
Elsa Cutterline. You want to know why I'm here, of course.
Not particularly.
What?
Well, that's always the weakest part of the story. I don't like to press it. Why don't you, take off your space suit?
I'll tell you why, just the same. I killed a man. Why and how doesn't matter. I had access to an experimental ship. I thought if I disappeared for about 2 years...
Oh, please, don't labor over it. I'm not asking questions.
Why not?
Well, when we get around to it, I would be interested in the story you can concoct for being dressed like the cover of a magazine story in rather minimal clothing. It's been years since I thought up anything like that. You must be a throwback.
What are you talking about?
You know, you're going to have a tough time with that gun when you get tired of holding it. It's a heavy gun. How long do you think it'll be before I take it from you? After all, you have to sleep. There's no door in the station you can lock that I can't get in.
I know. I just wanted to make sure you weren't violent. I think I can get on with you, Ord.
Yes, I see. The question is, my dear, whether you're real or not.
Well, don't I look real?
Oh, yes, but that doesn't prove anything. As a matter of fact, the realer you look, the worse off I might be. But then there still is the remote possibility that you might actually have killed someone and decided to hide out on a space station. Shall I tell you something else, Elsa?
What?
I'm suddenly tired of the whole business. Breathes there a man with soul so dead, I'm sure you know the rest of it. I would suddenly like to have enough people around me so that I could be sane. I would like to find women as part of life instead of having them pop up here from the depths of my rather pornographic subconscious. But you've shaken me, Elsa. 24 hours ago, I was congratulating myself that solitosis hadn't really gotten me. But now I don't know.
Just don't try anything funny, or you'll find out whether I'm real. The hard way.
Any way is the hard way. First, I'll go out and have a look at your ship. £14 per square inch air. Heat. Now, I take a gasoline lighter. There, the flame lights. But on the other hand, if there was no lighter and I see it, I could also see it burn when there isn't any air. As a matter of fact, how do I know that I can read a meter for air pressure? And now that I look again quickly, I find I haven't got a lighter in my hand, and as a matter of fact, the pressure meter reads 0. There's no air on this ship. As a matter of fact, there isn't any ship. Elsa is no more real than Una. All right, Colin, old boy, sit here and concentrate for about 15 minutes, and you'll be able to walk through the walls of the ship.
Well, what did you find out there?
You'd better leave. It was a mistake your coming here. I'm sorry.
No, don't come any closer to me.
Put down the gun.
Keep back. I'm warning you. Keep back.
You see, it's no use. Oh, you're a good shot. You got me right between the eyes, but I couldn't feel a thing. I can't let myself be shot now, can I? Give that to me. There. Now remember, if you shoot me, nothing happens. But if I shoot you, you die. Do you know that?
Yes, I know that.
I'll give you about 20 minutes to get that overstuffed figure back into that spacesuit and get off my planet. Frankly, I'm getting tired of hallucinations. Tired.
Give me back my gun.
No. I'll keep that. After a while, I'll put it in a drawer. It'll stay there until I forget it. Then there won't be any gun anymore. From now on, my overblown figment, there will be no more Elsas or Susies or Margies. I am not going to give in to solitosis. Maybe I'll bring Una back. At least she could play chess. Pluto Station 3, Daily Report, Colin Ord, Space Officer. Gentlemen, I have successfully fought off solitosis for 2 days, and I have been alone. However, I'm afraid I'll lose as I watch my main scope now. I see a ship coming in again. I wonder what this one will be like. It's a launch from a larger spaceship. Maybe a lifeboat. Dorothy came in a lifeboat. I wonder what this one will be like. I've got to find out when she comes whether she's real. That's the key, as long as I know if she's real. When I don't care anymore, that's when it's really got me. The ship's down now. There she comes out of the airlock. I've got to find out whether she's real.
Colin Ord?
That's right.
I'm Dr. Lynn of 4-Star Lines. Marilyn Lynn.
Oh, well, very pretty. Are you going to tell me your story now, or do I have to wait?
I'm not going to tell you anything till I've found out a little more about you.
Well, you're an improvement on the last one. At least you're young and beautiful, and you're not fantastic, and you look intelligent.
What do you mean?
Don't worry about me. I see things that aren't there, particularly people.
Oh, so you don't believe I'm here?
Would you, if you were me?
Do you know I'm not here?
No, that comes with time. At least it always has so far.
You mean you've always proved to yourself that your visitors were mere fantasy?
With a struggle.
Interesting. Controlled solitosis. I never heard of it before. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Ord.
No, that doesn't make you real. They all say that.
Why should I want to make you accept me as real?
I don't know. But they all do.
When will you know?
Oh, I can't say. Maybe in 5 minutes. Maybe not for hours.
How do you do it? You don't shoot me to see if I die or anything like that, do you?
No, nothing like that. If I shoot you, you do die, like the witches in history. They'd die if they were, and they'd die if they weren't.
Your mind has remained agile enough.
Naturally. I never heard of solitosis inhibiting intelligence. Would you like some coffee?
Is that part of the test? whether more coffee is actually drunk than you drink yourself.
No, that doesn't help. It would be very easy for me to make half what I thought I made, to fill a cup with nothing and pass it back. You look afraid.
Why should I be?
What am I doing? Am I doing something I don't know I'm doing?
No. Would you like me to wash the cups for you when we're done?
That won't prove anything. Next time they were used, I could just imagine they were washed, couldn't I?
Where are you going?
To find out if you're real.
My ship. Go ahead. Good luck.
What's she afraid about? Something I said. None of the others were really afraid of me. I can't tell yet. Nothing's happened. The meters all read 15 pounds to the square inch air pressure, but that's no good. I can't tell if I'm reading them at all. Oh. Well, the wall's solid enough. My hand hurts. That doesn't prove anything. Supposing I open my faceplate. If there's no ship and no air... All right, my faceplate's open. I'm breathing air. But then again, on the other hand, my faceplate may still be closed. Maybe I only think it's open. I can't tell. I can't tell that she isn't real. That means it's finally gotten me. It gets everyone. I don't really know if anything's real, if I'm real, if this space station is real, the planet, the universe, the galaxy. Maybe all life is in my mind. I think. Therefore I am. Yes, I remember that from school. Oh, I'm tired. I've got to get back to the station. Very tired. Close my faceplate, if I ever opened it. Get back to the station. Got a headache. Terrible headache. I'm very tired.
Are you all right now? Here, drink this.
What happened?
You came in the station lock and passed out.
How long have I been out?
About 24 hours. You're a very sick man, Mr. Ord.
Reality. Very important thing, isn't it? It's the most important thing there is to learn.
Merely to you. Solitosis naturally affects what matters most to the individual, but we needn't talk about that.
But I know now. You're not real. You can't be, even though I feel you are.
How did you decide that?
I couldn't prove you weren't, not on your ship. I'm too far gone to figure out any test that'll work. But if you are real, then how did you avoid solitosis?
The only way there is. There are 48 men and women in the relief ship that's in orbit around your planet right now. I came down in the pickup rocket. We have well above the critical number of people. I keep rational by knowing they're up there in the orbit, and as soon as I'm ready, I'll take you back up there.
Well, I suppose I can wait. I don't really care if you're real or not anymore.
I know. It'll take a long while before you care.
You sound sad. What's the matter?
It's the way you look at me.
What do you mean?
What do you see when you look at me?
Well, you're strong. Sort of quietly beautiful. About my age. You're wearing a tunic and slacks. And you don't have a wedding ring. I noticed that.
That's what I thought you saw. I'm real, but not your picture of me. I'm a doctor, Mr. Ord. All first contacts with station officers are made by trained psychiatrists. I'm a doctor. And I was a girl once. But that was 40 years ago. I'm 66.
You can't be.
Oh, yes. It was very nice to be a girl again. I could see myself in your eyes, and I almost felt young again. As I grow old in the next few weeks, Mr. Ord, you'll be recovering.
last we are really on the magic island of the South Seas. However, it seems to be not a place of beauty and peace, as the islands are thought of, but a sinister and foreboding fortress, the stronghold of a terrible scientific colony. Jerry Hall, Mrs. Patricia Gregory, and Captain Tex Bradford have been allowed to see the little girl whom they came to find. The girl is Joan Gregory, long-lost daughter of Patricia Gregory. Mother and daughter have been given a moment of privacy in the tiny room the girl occupies on the Isle of Euclidia, the magic island.
I'm so happy to have found you, my dear, that nothing else matters to me. I can even bear being a prisoner here if I may only be with you, my dear little Joan.
And I'm so happy to be with you, Mrs. Mother. But it all seems so strange. I'm called Cleostra here. All of our names have to do with scientific things, and yet you call me Joan. And somehow it seems that I have always been Joan.
You have to me, dear. You've always been my little daughter, though the width of the sea and 14 years have separated us.
Mother. Oh, it sounds so nice to say that. Mother.
And you'll always be able to say it now, for Mother will never leave you. We'll go back to California, to the United States, to the great free outside which you call the world.
Tell me of your home. We hear much of it through our space phones, and can even see your United States through our universal prism reflectors. But the images are not clear, and your old-fashioned and weak electrical apparatus gives us a particularly mediocre signal.
What a precious infant you are. You know so much more than your mother. Your speech would shame many of our educators. And yet, I wonder if you've been happy here.
Happy? I believe so. We have games. Relaxation, you know.
What sort of games?
When the full rest period comes, in the middle of the day, we gather in the common laboratory, and we may use the entire time, 600 seconds, in working out such mathematical and electrochemical problems as may suit our fancy, even though they haven't the slightest practical value.
And that is relaxation. Your wisdom makes me very sad, my child. You're only a young girl, barely 15 years old, and you should still be playing as a happy child. Don't you ever run and jump and play athletic games? Don't you ever laugh?
No one on Euclidia laughs, except G47, and when he laughs, it is only horrible. He is the most brilliant man in the universe, and the most terrible.
Is he abusive, mean, unkind to you?
G47 would not trouble to be anything but scornful toward any mere human. What am I, or what are you, or anyone else to a man who has only to raise his hand and destroy a world?
So, that's it. Then this weird colony is made up of mad scientists, bent on world conquest by science. I might have known it.
It is not a pleasant place for some here, I think. Some who have known your world as you know it. But to me, it is all I know.
You will soon know the world as I know it, my dear. I'll take you back to my home. Your home. Why, my estate is larger than this whole island.
And things grow naturally there? Flowers and trees?
Why, of course. Don't you have them here?
You will see in the light of day. We have everything and nothing.
You will come back with us to our world just as quickly as Captain Bradford makes arrangements for us to leave this island.
There are many here who have been trying for years to leave the island. They are still here. And some who have left, they never arrived at any known place.
But there was one person who got safely away, an old sailor, not long ago. He was picked up by a ship in the open sea and sent word of this strange island to the world by radio.
And where is that old sailor now?
He died almost as soon as he got his radio message to the world.
Yes, he died. So you see, no one ever gets away from this island for long.
Joan, you realize what you're saying? Surely you don't mean that his death was not accidental?
I think that I can tell you, all of you, much that will be to your advantage. But we will be overheard now. And it's better that I wait until another time, when Captain Bradford may hear it at the same time. One thing I can tell you now. G47 thinks that Captain Bradford is the only man in the world who might interfere with his plans.
Then we'll tell the captain. Tex is a brave and clever man, and Jerry Hall is a smart, dependable boy. We'll find a way to get off this island and back to the world. And then...
And then... what?
I didn't see you.
You do not see me now, do you?
These rooms are made of some metal, which allows you to see through it from the outside only.
What a nightmare of life you must lead here.
You will not need to speculate long on the type of existence peculiar to Euclidia. Your quarters will be assigned to you.
Where are Captain Bradford and Jerry?
You are dangerously impertinent in your inquisitiveness, but it is obviously ignorance. Your fine captain is in solitary confinement, learning a lesson about behavior on the scientific fountainhead of the universe.
What has the captain done to warrant that?
He asked too many questions, and I might add, you, madame, are following the same line.
Be quiet, please, dear mother.
How touching the reunion. Well, little lady, you will bear in mind that your mother's world means nothing to you. You are part of this vast machine. You are Cleostra, the living symbol of the perfect calendar.
My mother tells me my name is Joan.
By this time tomorrow night, your mother will have learned that what she tells you is of no moment here.
Where is Jerry? Is he locked up with the captain?
No. That adolescent walking loudspeaker is waiting without. I will allow him to perform a service for me. You, Cleostra, will go with him to the voice transmission chambers. I will direct him to send a message for me. You, madame, may go and talk to your precious captain.
But may
Silence, go. The woman waiting without will conduct you. You may speak to the captain through the wall of his cell, as I now speak to you. Go, I said, go, go.
Goodbye, Joan. I'll see you soon.
Goodbye, Mother. Goodbye.
Now, there is no time for sentiment here. Come out. Come.
What do you wish of me? Oh, Jerry, I'm glad to see you.
Silence. Cleostra, you will conduct this boy to the voice transmission chambers. Show him the operation of the Euclidia to California voice transmission beam, and see that he sends the following message. All is well. We'll send further news later. He will send it to Mrs. Gregory's home operator. Use the signature of the Gregory yacht.
Say, now look here. You can't buffalo me into sending anything of the kind.
Have you seen our solitary confinement cell?
Why, gee.
Jerry, do as he says. I'll explain it all to you later.
Be off. Send that message. Then report to me in my private quarters. Be off. Be off.
Come on, Jerry. There's no use arguing with him.
Oh, I guess you're right. But I'd sure like to punch him on the snozzle. Golly whiskers.
You're a strange boy, Jerry. What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Punch him on the schnozzle, golly whiskers.
You don't speak very good English here, do you?
That I do not know. But I like the way you speak.
Do you? On the level?
On the level?
Yeah, on the level.
Do you not speak in the same manner on the level as you would on an elevation?
Hey, look. One of us is wrong, and I got along all right in school, so it must be you. Now, look. You like me. Is that right?
That is substantially correct, Jerry.
Well, I got that much of it right anyhow. Now, I like you, too.
That is very pleasant, Jerry. We must see each other as often as we are allowed to.
Oh, boy. That's slick.
Slick?
Never mind that now. Just listen. I know all about you for a long time. I got Mrs. Gregory and Tex Bradford to bring me with them just so as I could help find you.
But I have not been lost. Why should you have to find me? I have known where I was at all times.
Well, it's about time I got you off this island. Now, listen. No, don't talk. Just listen. I've dreamed about you for years. It's been in all the papers about your mother looking all over the world for you. And I just got to thinking so much about you that golly, you're mighty nice.
You are also mighty nice.
Golly whiskers, you got that one right. Now, look, you and I have got to do some figuring about getting off this island. Captain Bradford is locked up because he asked too many questions about how things are done here on this island. And we've got to do something about it.
And there's very little we can do, Jerry. G47 hears and sees all that goes on in Euclidia.
Never mind that. Your mother's been looking for you for 14 years. And Captain Bradford's been helping her for 5 or 6 years. Well, and now that you're found...
But, Jerry...
You were lost. And now that you're found, we're not going to spend the rest of our lives on this island.
Is your world such a wonderful place, then, that it is worth all this worry and trouble and danger merely to attempt to return to it?
Is it worth it? Oh, boy. Wait till I take you to a moving picture premiere on Hollywood Boulevard. You ought to see some of those big shows.
We often watch what you call your moving pictures from here, when we are allowed the time.
Oh, sure. You got machines here.
No, Jerry. We see them being made. I will show you the universal prism reflectors. They may be focused on your Hollywood, and the making of the pictures is quite plain to us here in Euclidia.
Boy, this is a magic island.
My mother's yacht was watched all the time. Every move you made on the trip from your California to our island was seen by our scientists. They did not let me watch, but I heard them talking.
Maybe getting off this island won't be so easy after all.
It will be impossible, Jerry. Oh, but here's the voice transmission chamber. We enter. So? And there's the apparatus you will use.
Where? This is the craziest place. We walk all over the island without making a sound. Then we open the door and we're inside of a room without a sound. And now that we're in here, there isn't a sign of anything to send a message with.
You see that map on the wall? You will push the little lever, the one marked California.
Okay. It's pushed. Now what does that do?
You may now talk to California. Just direct your voice naturally toward that wall.
Yeah. Someday I'm going to write a book about this place. Well, here goes. J24Y to J12C, Los Angeles. Jerry Hall on J24Y to Johnson at J12C. Hello, J12.
J12C to J24Y. Go ahead, J24. I've been waiting for 2 hours for your signal.
Listen, J12. Enough has happened in the last 2 hours to fill a book. We're in terrible danger. On the island, our position is...
So, you silly fool. You would try to deceive me?
Oh, G47. That terrible ray gun. You've used it on Jerry.
It is a pretty toy, is it not, Cleostra? Would you like to know how it feels?
When Jerry Hall, Mrs. Gregory, and Captain Bradford started out to search for a little girl on a strange island in the South Seas, Jerry insisted it would be a magic island. Now that Joan, Mrs. Gregory's long-lost little daughter, has been found on the island, and G47, the mad scientist, and his weird colony are holding Mrs. Gregory, Bradford, and Jerry prisoners, the strange island of Euclidia is indeed almost a magic island. Jerry, Joan, and G47 are in the voice transmission chamber on the island. Jerry tried to get a message through for help, but G47 overheard it. He turned a ray gun on Jerry and Joan. Mrs. Gregory's California radio operator is still trying to hear Jerry.
What has happened, Hall? Cannot get your signal. What has happened, J24? J12C to
Enough of that. So, you young fools, you would try to warn the outside world of my plans, would you? It might have been better had I used the death ray on you. No, I need you both. You have been unconscious for 50 seconds. 10 seconds more and you will revive. Then you will send the message I want you to send. Now, you should regain consciousness in just 3 seconds.
That's funny. I was talking to J12 in Los Angeles, then the set went dead. I'll get him again.
You will do exactly as I say, young man.
Golly, I didn't see you. Say, what did you do to Joan? Joan, what's the matter?
She did not receive the ray from this little toy of mine until after you did. It is just time for her to awaken. Now.
You turned the ray gun on Jerry? But he is not dead?
No. I used only the 60-second paralyzing ray.
What are you talking about? Nothing happened to me.
Didn't you see that I was asleep, Jerry?
You were mighty quiet and funny, all right.
G47 turned his ray gun on us when he heard you trying to warn your friends in California that you were held prisoner here on Euclidia.
I didn't see any gun. I heard something that sounded like a baby screaming, a little child screaming way off. Then the radio set went dead.
The radio set, as you call it, did not go dead. I merely put you to sleep with the 60-second ray. You were trying to deceive me.
You bet I was. and I'll try it every chance I get.
Do not speak like that, Jerry. G47 can do with you exactly as he pleases.
Let him get busy on his worst end. I'm going to get off this island some way, sometime, and nobody's going to stop me.
You are a fool. Even a brave man knows when to keep quiet. You are as completely in my power and cut off from the world as if you had never known it to exist. This little ray gun is only one infinitesimal part of my equipment for handling fools.
Is that the little thing that put us to sleep?
This is it.
That doesn't look like a gun. It isn't any bigger than a lead pencil.
Just the same, Jerry. That little thing will throw a ray across this island and carries enough power in it to paralyze 1,000 people.
You have learned your lesson well, Cleostra.
Oh, nix on that Cleostra stuff. Her name is Joan. She's Mrs. Gregory's little girl, and I'll call her Joan.
You will learn to call her Cleostra. Her Euclidean name is the only name she will ever need. And it is our wish to know her as the symbol of Cleostratus, the great astronomer of ancient Greece who gave us the zodiac.
Well, I'm going to call her what I like. Yeah, and that's not all.
That is entirely too much. Silence, both of you. You will now send the message I instructed you to send before. And this time I will stand directly behind you with this little ray gun trained upon you.
Go on, Jerry. Do as he tells you. Move the transmission lever there upon the map of California.
This is the craziest radio set I ever saw. I push a button and talk to Los Angeles, but I'm talking to a blank wall.
You are talking through a wall, a porous sound wall, behind which the directional voice transmission apparatus is located. The wall is bulletproof, my young fool, so do not waste your time trying to damage the apparatus. Go on.
Be careful, Jerry. Do not try to send any message except exactly as G47 tells you.
Oh, I got enough sense not to want him to put me to sleep again with that thing. Well, here goes. J24Y to J12C at Los Angeles. Hello, J12. Jerry Hall to J12C.
J12 to J24. Hello, Jerry. What happened to your signal? You were coming in good, then stopped. I got the word danger. Go ahead, J24Y.
Say there is no danger.
Correction on that, J12C. I said no danger. All is well, but we are off our course. No sign of island. Stand by for further report. Repeat, J12C.
J12C to J24Y. Repeating. No danger. Off your course. No sign of island. I'm standing by.
Okay, J12.
Can you give me your position?
No position.
No position, J12. We'll give position later. That is all. J24Y.
That is all. Good luck, Jerry. Johnson on J12C.
Now, how do you shut this thing off?
It is off now. The method is no concern of yours.
Gee whiz.
Things work almost by themselves on Euclidia, Jerry.
Yeah, too fast to suit me. Now I've got to see Captain Bradford.
You may do so. You, Cleostra, will conduct this boy to the captain's cell. Then you will return to your quarters.
I would like to visit more with my dear mother.
You may see her later. You, Hall, will be allowed to see everything, or nearly everything, on Euclidia. When you have made up your almost negligible mind to the fact that you will stay here, your interests are here now. In the meantime, go and see your dear captain. Make all the silly plans you can think of to escape. They will exercise your minds and furnish amusement to me. Go. Enough of this. I will see you when I want you. I will see you again.
I don't like that guy.
No one does. But it is not safe to show it. Now come, Jerry, and I will take you to the captain. Then I must go to my own quarters.
I'll see you after a while and tell you some more about California and the rest of the world, huh?
Tell me this, Jerry, as we walk to the captain's cell. Your name, Jerry Hall, what does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yes.
It must have a meaning.
Well, it means that my mother's and father's name was Hall, and they called me Jerry.
But that means nothing.
Means plenty to me.
But on Euclidia, all the names mean something.
One of these days, you're going to quit worrying about what things mean on this spooky island. And it is a spooky place. Look, here we are walking on something that looks like concrete or stone, but our shoes don't make a sound.
That is not strange to me. I have seen how they make the noiseless rock, the transparent steel, and the invisible cloth.
Golly whiskers. When we get off this island, we'll show the rest of the world a lot of swell tricks.
I wish, Jerry, you would not speak of getting off this island. You're only wasting your breath.
You don't think we're going to get off, huh?
I know you will not. And you will only make it dangerous for all of us if you try.
Wait till Tex Bradford and I get down to figuring this out. And we'll make it dangerous for anybody that tries to keep us from going.
There's Captain Bradford's cell. I must leave you here.
Where? I don't see any cell.
You do not look closely, Jerry.
There's nothing but a blank wall in front of us.
And if you look carefully at that wall, you will observe that you can see through it. And Captain Bradford is sitting in a little cubicle of a room.
Doggone it. I'm getting tired of all these tricks. Why don't they have windows and doors like anybody else?
Doors and windows are not necessary when you can see and talk through steel walls.
I guess you're right. Hey, Tex. Captain Bradford.
Yes, Jerry. Come over to the wall so I can talk to you.
You may step nearer, Jerry, but do not touch the wall.
The walls are charged with electricity, huh?
Yes, and the power is enormous.
That's why these walls make such good cells.
Stop. You're near enough now.
Hello, Joan. How are you and Jerry getting along?
This Jerry of yours, I like him. He is a very nice, but very foolish boy.
Oh, she's worried, Tex. Just because I don't let old G47 bluff me.
I'm afraid it's no bluff, son. Better lay low and do what he says.
I must go now.
When can I see you again?
I will come to you when I have permission.
Oh, darn the permission.
Steady, Jerry. Joan's right. No use trying to go against the rules here till we have a plan.
I'm sorry. I'll see you later, Joan.
Goodbye, Jerry. Be careful what you do.
Goodbye, Cleostra.
You don't like that name much, do you?
Oh, it's all right. I don't like it because old Geometry gave it to her, I guess.
Well, now that we have a minute to ourselves, let's see what we've learned about our situation here.
The more we learn about it, the worse it gets.
Where's Mrs. Gregory?
She's in the room where they make dresses in 300 seconds, wherever that is.
Well, as long as they don't injure any of us, we have a chance.
Not much. I tried to cheat on a radio message to Johnson, and old G47 turned a ray gun on me.
Did he hurt you?
No, just put me to sleep for exactly 1 minute. Then when I woke up, he had me believing I'd better not try it again.
Did you get through to Johnson at all?
Yeah. With the old guy shoving his gun in me, in my back, I had to tell Johnson all was well. That we were off our course, but in no danger. And that we didn't know our position.
Good boy. That helps a lot.
How could it?
I didn't have time to show you all the things we have on that yacht. And you didn't see any of our equipment at the Gregory home. But Johnson knows it's impossible for us not to know our position as long as we have current enough on board to send him a message. And in an hour, he'll have our position all figured out.
How can he do that?
Just as we did on the yacht when... No, I'd better wait for another time to review that. The chances are, in fact, I'm sure, that every word we've said has been overheard by someone.
Then we've already said too much.
Yes, I know it, but we've got to talk sometime. And what we've said so far is no more than G47 has figured out for himself by now.
Is there anything that guy doesn't know?
There is one thing he can't touch, Jerry.
What's that?
He can't read your mind. The man is no magician, and he's no trickster, though he is probably the greatest scientist the world has ever known, or failed to know. Everything he produces is an exact science, and if we can only figure out how to get our thoughts to each other, without speaking or writing them, we can...
What's the matter? Tex!
I feel dizzy in my head. Oh!
Tex! What's happening to you?
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today, with the Man of Steel miles away, Batman and Robin are again ambushed. This time with all odds against them. We'll take you to the scene in a moment. But right now, let's join our good friend, Dan McCullough.
Say, I know there are some times when you fellas in the gang have a different idea of what's fun than the girls do. But I know, too, that both fellas and girls like to get prizes, and that both fellas and girls are mighty excited about those smart-looking comic buttons that come now as prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. And no wonder why there's a bright-colored and so doggone slick-looking that, well, you get a real bang out of wearing them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. You see, they're pictures of your favorite comic strip friends, characters that you've been following for a long time in the funny papers, like Smilin' Jack and Orphan Annie and Superman, of course. So, opening a new package of Pep is a double feature treat because you have lots of good eating in this super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, and you get a brand new button every time. Maybe a comic button that you don't have yet, or maybe a duplicate that you can trade with your pals. But remember, these comic buttons are exclusive prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. But inside every package of Pep, there's an exciting prize. One of these swell comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
A mysterious criminal organization using the symbol of a crescent moon and star is believed by Superman to have knowledge of two missing pieces of kryptonite, the strange, deadly element which gave the late Atom Man his terrible atomic power and which robs the Man of Steel of his great strength. With the aid of Batman and Robin, Superman followed the clue of Squealy Evers, a stool pigeon, to the Golden Lily, a nightclub frequented by underworld characters. As Superman remained on the stool pigeon's trail, Batman and Robin entered the nightclub, where they saw a girl singer introduced as Gloria Garrett, wearing a jeweled crescent and star in her hair. When the girl left, Batman and Robin leaped through the rear bumper of her car and were carried into the country. Suddenly, the car swung into a tree-bordered lane and stopped. And as our friends dropped to the ground, hidden lamps in the trees blazed into light, and a circle of 10 men in evening clothes, all armed with blue steel automatics, were revealed. Dismayed, Robin gasped,
Looks like we stepped into something, Batman.
You're not kidding. And it doesn't look healthy.
You have indeed stepped into something, Batman and Robin.
Who's the party behind the handlebar mustache?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Permit me to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Smith.
My, what an odd name.
Of the Sing Sing Smiths, I presume.
How clever. Strange that such clever fellows should let themselves be trapped.
Isn't it? Just for the record, how did you do it?
Can't you figure it out?
I suppose the girl, Gloria Garrett, was a plant, is that it?
Excellent, Batman. Worthy of Sherlock Holmes himself. When we heard you and Robin managed to escape our little ambush on the dock and return to the coffee shop.
How'd you know we went back there?
Easy. Squealy figured we would, so he hung around and spotted us. Then hustled to the Golden Lily to report. That's why we saw him coming out of there, right?
Right again. We were quite certain you would turn up at the Golden Lily eventually, so we arranged our little trap for you. Gloria Garrett wearing the crescent and star ornament was the bait.
And we fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker. Okay, Mr. Smith, you've got us. Now, what do you intend to do with us?
Mr. Jones will tell you that.
Oh, another fancy moniker.
Now, who's Mr. Jones?
You're about to find out. Felix, Abbott, tie them up.
Helpless in a circle of menacing automatics, Batman and Robin submit to having their hands tied firmly behind their backs. Then, shepherded by their captors, they are taken to a huge old house at the end of the tree-bordered lane. A brass plate beside the door gleams dully in the moonlight and reads, Dr. Joseph Winters, Sanitarium. In a large oak-paneled room, almost stiflingly hot, a great fire burns in a wide fireplace, beside which, at a flat-topped desk, a slender, scholarly-looking man with a shawl over his shoulders and wearing pince-nez glasses sits writing. As Batman and Robin are ushered into the room, he lays aside his pen and picks up a glass atomizer, heavily encrusted with silver, which stands at his elbow. Opening his mouth, he sprays his throat, then calls irritably,
Close the door, please, Mr. Smith. There's a draft.
A little fresh air won't hurt you, Mr. Jones. It's like an oven in here.
Nonsense. Fresh air is full of germs and disease. I'd better spray my throat again.
What do you make of this wacky setup, Batman?
I think we're in the inner sanctum of the Crescent and Star Gang.
Wow.
There. That's better. Now we can get down to business. I presume these young men in the masquerade costumes are Batman and Robin.
That is correct, Mr. Jones.
I suppose I should be flattered that such famous personalities are interested in us. But I'm not. Tell me, gentlemen, how did you find out about us?
I don't remember at the moment. Do you, Robin?
I'm afraid it slipped my mind.
Here. Let me show you this silver coin. It is engraved with a crescent moon and a star, and was in your possession, Batman. Where did you get it?
Where? Oh, I found it.
Where did you find it?
In the street.
Sure, we tripped over it.
Understand me, gentlemen. I intend to get at the truth by one means or another. Now, about this coin. There are only a certain number of them in existence, in the possession of specific persons. If one of them has seen fit to entrust you with this symbol without our knowledge, we should like to know about it.
We didn't get it from any of your people.
From whom did you get it?
I told you, we found it.
I don't believe you.
If you let me take them below for an hour or so, Mr. Jones...
The last person you took below died, Mr. Smith, and his information died with him. I should like to prevent that in this case, if possible.
Thank you, Robin.
Should I make a curtsy, too?
Apparently neither of you think I'm serious. Believe me, gentlemen, I am. I want to know where you got this coin and any other information you have about us.
Suppose we tell you, then what?
You will save your lives.
What assurance do we have of that?
My word.
Take the word of a murderer and crook? Are you kidding?
Easy, Robin.
I will give you one more chance. Will you tell me what I want to know?
Sure. We found the coin in a grab bag.
You'll find the most interesting things in grab bags.
Very well. We'll see how long your sense of humor and your stubbornness last in... Room 0.
Where?
Room 0. Once you're there, you'll understand the meaning of the name. Now take them away, Mr. Smith.
With pleasure. Come, my friends. I am very proud of Room 0. It is my own invention. I assure you there's nothing like it in the entire world. Nothing.
As Batman and Robin are led to the mysterious Room 0, Superman is streaking away from a small town 75 miles south of Metropolis, to which he trailed Squealy Evers, the underworld stool pigeon. Having seen Squealy retire for the night in a tourist cottage, and having enlisted the local police to watch him, the Man of Steel returns to the Golden Lily nightclub where he left Batman and Robin. Although it is 4 o'clock in the morning, the Golden Lily is still crowded and merry. Unable to find his friends, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, finally locates the waiter who served them.
Now think. You recall the people I described to you?
Sure, I remember the man and boy. They ordered turkey sandwiches and milk, but when I bought them, they gave me $5 and left without eating.
They did?
Yes. The man said he remembered they had another appointment.
When was this?
Oh, a few hours ago, around midnight, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Were they alone?
Yes, just the two of them.
Tell me, did you notice them talking to anybody?
No, they were here only 10 or 15 minutes.
Did they leave a message for me? My name is Kent, by the way.
No, they did not, Mr. Kent. That is all the man said about another appointment.
Didn't leave a message with a cashier or doorman either. Well, I'll probably find one at home or at the office. Thanks, waiter. Here's something for your trouble.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night.
You're welcome. Good night. Well, another appointment, eh? Where, I wonder? And with whom?
Only slightly uneasy, Clark Kent leaves the Golden Lily, unaware that Batman and Robin are in deadly peril. We'll return in a moment for the tense climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, I'll bet you've had more than a few chuckles out of the antics of Smokey Stover in the funny papers. Seems like he's always doing things backwards. So it's no wonder that the grand old Kellogg Company included him in this series of comic buttons that now come as prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pets. Looking just as real as in the comic strips. Fireman's cap and hose and all the other buttons are just as real, from K.O. right up to Superman himself. Boy, what a load of fun it is to get a new button every time Mom opens a package of Pets. If it's a duplicate, like one, you already have in your collection, why, that's even more fun because you can trade it with one of your pals. And you can really strut around when you wear your collection of comic buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. Aren't you glad these buttons are so easy to get? Why, you don't send in a single penny, not even a box stop. Fact is, you can't buy these comic buttons anywhere. But if you'll ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pet, you'll find an exciting prize in every package. One of these brilliant comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. It's a prize for you from P.E.P.,
Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
As Clark Kent, not yet fully alarmed, left the Golden Lily nightclub, Batman and Robin, their arms still tied behind them, were pushed into the mysterious Room Zero in the House of the Crescent and Star, and a heavy oaken door was locked and bolted behind them. The room in the basement of the house is small and windowless. The walls are of smooth concrete, and the only illumination is from a tiny electric bulb set in a recess in the ceiling. It is that ceiling which now engages Batman and Robin's alarmed attention, for every few moments there is a sound as of heavy bolts slipping in a cogwheel, and the ceiling lowers slightly.
Here it goes again, Batman. Look, the ceiling lowered some more.
Only about an inch that time, Robin.
And an inch before that, and another inch before that. It must have dropped 6 inches since we got in here.
Just about. We've been here half an hour. Let's see. That's at the rate of a foot an hour. The ceiling's about 8 foot high. So at the rate it's dropping, it'll take 8 hours.
Never mind the mathematics. I can add. I can figure out why they call this room zero, too. It means ceiling zero.
I guess so. Nice sense of humor our newfound friends have.
You're not kidding. Look, I don't relish the idea of being flattened out like a pancake. What are we going to do?
I'm open to suggestions.
Suppose we tell the head man with the atomizer that the coin we had belonged to his pal Sidney.
No soap. We can't let them trace things back. Too many people are involved.
Yeah,
there are no buts, Robin. Kent and Inspector Henderson know about this gang. We've got to keep our mouths shut and hope that they get to them in time.
Besides what?
Even if we did tell them, you don't suppose, knowing what we know about them, they'd turn us loose, do you?
Oh, I never thought of that. Of course they wouldn't.
What I should have done was left a message for Kent at the Golden Lily. Mark me down for a big goon.
What good would it have done? We didn't know where we were going, and besides, the ceiling's dropping again. What'll we do, Batman?
I don't know yet. Better dream up something soon, or we'll be a couple of pressed ducks. Attempting to hide their deep concern behind a mask of gaiety, Batman and Robin watch the ceiling descend toward them slowly. A fraction of an inch at a time, but steadily it drops lower and lower, with seemingly no chance of escape. And meanwhile, Clark Kent, who is Superman, has no clue to their whereabouts. Will they find a way out, or are Batman and Robin doomed? Fellows and girls, don't miss Monday's exciting episode as Batman and Robin sweat it out in Room Zero. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Want to hear a scoop? A big scoop of Kellogg news? Well, listen to this. Kellogg's Variety is back. Yes, Kellogg's have scooped 6 of their most famous cereals into this grand variety carton. 1 carton containing 10 separate generous-sized packages. So now it's easier for Mom. She just gets Kellogg's Variety, and everybody at the breakfast table can eat his favorite cereal fresh from its own box. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Ask Mom right away to get Kellogg's Variety. It's swell, no fooling. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today his friends, Batman and Robin, find themselves prisoners of the secret society they have been trying to find. We'll join them in a moment. But right now, here's a word from Dan McCullough.
Say, you know what I heard the other day? Well, I heard that one of the kids in our block always makes it a point to hang around when his mother is making out her grocery list to remind her to get some Kellogg's Pep. Yes, sir, that young fella likes to eat lots of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, and he's mighty eager to collect more of those nifty comic buttons Pep is putting out. Aren't they, honeys? The colors are so bright, and the pictures of your favorite funny sheet characters stand out like anything against that clear white background. And how those buttons do show off when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. Why, they make you feel like strutting around. And for doggone good fun, you can't beat the excitement of trading duplicates with your pals and getting another comic button to add to your collection. Maybe it'll be Skeezix or Herbie or even Superman himself. And don't forget how easy it is to collect all 18 different buttons in the series. Now, you don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. But every time Mom opens a new package of Kellogg's Pep, there's a swell prize inside for you. One of those humdinger comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Ask Mom to get you some P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
While aiding Superman in his search for 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite, the strange, deadly element which gave the late Atom Man his terrible atomic power, Batman and Robin were captured by a mysterious criminal organization using the symbol of a crescent moon and star, believed by our friends to have knowledge of the kryptonite. In the gang headquarters, a bogus sanitarium near Metropolis, Batman and Robin were placed in a basement dungeon known as Room Zero, where, to their dismay, they watched the steel ceiling, slowly move down on them, a fraction of an inch at a time. It is now 8:30 in the morning, and we find them both seated on the cold concrete floor, the lowered ceiling now only inches above Batman's head. Although they have succeeded in loosening the ropes which bound their hands and arms, the situation still seems hopeless. Listen.
The ceiling dropped again. What'll we do, Batman?
I hate to say it, Robin, but I'm afraid this time we're in a spot we can't get out of.
Oh, don't talk like that. If only someone knew we were here. Inspector Henderson or...
Oh, while you're dreaming, sonny boy, make it good. Why not Superman?
Sure, why not? What's that?
There's a slot in the bottom of the door. Our friend Mr. Smith probably wants to tell us another bedtime story.
If I could only get my hands on him, I'd tell him one that I'd put him to sleep for a long time.
Are you gentlemen enjoying the view in there?
Sure. Gets better every minute.
Why don't you come in and enjoy it with us, Bud? We're sociable guys.
Thank you. But I prefer to watch from out here. Let me see. It is just 8:33. The ceiling lowers at a rate of 1 foot per hour. At 9:33, you will have to crouch on your hands and knees. At 10:33, you will be lying flat. At approximately 11 o'clock...
All aboard! Train leaving for Buffalo on track 6. Woo-woo!
I wonder if you'll find things so amusing at 11 o'clock when the ceiling finally reaches the floor. Dropped another quarter of an inch. Well, my friend?
We're very well, thank you. How are you, Mr. Rat?
Now, don't be nasty to the gentleman, Robin.
You are stupid fools. By now it should be clear to you that we of the Crescent and Star mean business. In a matter of hours, you will both die horrible deaths unless you tell us what we want to know.
You mean where we got the silver coin with the crescent and star on it?
Yes. And how much do you know about us? Tell me and I will release you. I give you my word.
I wouldn't take your word if you swore on a stack of Bibles. Release us first, and then maybe we'll tell you.
Maybe.
Do you hear that? The ceiling dropped again. This is your last chance to save your lives. I will not give you another. Well, what do you say?
Go peddle your papers on some other corner, Bud.
All right, then. Die. Die like the stupid idiots you are.
Wait, Mr. Smith. Come back.
What the...
So you changed your mind, huh? Well, go ahead. Talk.
No, Robin.
Yes, I'll talk. What do you want to know?
Robin.
Where did you find that silver coin?
In your father's mustache. Well, that's that.
Yeah, you had me worried for a minute.
Yeah, I've been worried for the last 5 hours. Maybe he's right, Batman. Maybe we are making jokes to cover up. Are you frightened?
Well, I'm not too happy. Let's take another look around the walls.
Oh, what's the use? We've been over them 100 times. They're concrete, and there isn't a crack in them big enough for an ant to crawl through.
I know, but... Oh, there goes the ceiling again.
It'll be ceiling zero soon. Too soon.
Lower and lower, inch by inch, the heavy steel ceiling descends to the floor, and Batman and Robin give up all hope. Meanwhile, alarmed because he has been unable to find any trace of his friends, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, is in the office of Police Inspector Henderson, who was just completing a telephone conversation.
You sure he's not holding out on you, Healy? Okay, then. Bring him back to Metropolis. Right. So long.
That stool pigeon you trailed last night, Kent, Squealy Evers? Yeah, I sent Healy out to Rockville.
Uh-huh.
He and the local police put Squealy on the pan.
They did, eh?
All stoolies are yellow, and Squealy's no exception. He talked.
Yes?
It won't help us much. He doesn't know where Batman and Robin are. And he doesn't know anything about the mob who use the crescent moon and star for their symbol.
Uh-oh.
All he knows is that there is such a mob. And if he hears anybody asking about them, he's supposed to tip off Patsy at the Golden Lily nightclub.
Well, what was he doing at the Golden Lily last night? And why did he skip town?
He says when Batman and Robin fought their way out of the dock ambush he walked them into, he figured they'd add up the right numbers and know he'd put in the tip for the ambush at the coffee shop.
Uh-huh.
So he hustled back there and hid across the street in the doorway. And sure enough, about an hour later, Batman and Robin showed up with you. So he rushed over to the Golden Lily and told Patsy the coffee shop waiter might leak and to expect company.
Then
Patsy gave Squealy the keys to his car and told him to beat it out of town and lay low for a while.
And then I trailed Squealy half the night for nothing.
Maybe not.
What do you mean, Inspector?
Squealy's information gives me a little more ammunition to use on Pat Simo.
On whom?
Charlie Pat Simo is Patsy, the owner of the Golden Lily.
Oh.
And I'll bet my shield he's mixed up in the disappearance of Batman and Robin. We know he's somehow tied up with the Crescent and Star mob. And Batman and Robin were last seen at his place.
Oh, yes, but that
Now, my hunch is they followed the girl, and she steered them into a trap. And Patsy arranged...
Wait a minute. What girl?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I've got it right over here. There you are. Take a look at this photograph, Kent.
Uh-huh.
You see, we do a little detective work, too. You're not the only Sherlock.
Wait, Scott, look, Inspector. This girl's wearing an ornament in her hair, and it's a crescent moon and star.
Well, why do you think I showed you the picture?
Well, but who is she?
She was introduced as Gloria Garrett, star of the London music halls. I called Scotland Yard about an hour ago.
And?
They never heard of Gloria Garrett in London.
Uh-oh.
And so far, nobody's heard of her here either.
Well, now, wait a minute. We can trace her through Patsy, can't we? He and the Crescent and Star mob must have planted her at the Golden Lily and arranged for her to be introduced, knowing that if Batman and Robin were there, they'd follow her.
That's what I figure. And as soon as we get Patsy down here, I'm going to put the screws on him.
Good.
I've always been sure he's a crook, but he's a smart potato, and we've never been able to pin anything on him.
Well, do you think you can now? At least enough to make him talk?
I hope so. I've got an alarm out for him, and we should pick him up soon. Then we're going to crack this case while... Excuse me.
Sure.
Hello? Oh, yes, Donovan. Did you get him? What? No. I see. Okay. Yeah, that's right. See you later.
What's the matter, Inspector?
They just picked up Patsy.
Oh, good.
Not so good. They found him floating in the harbor with a knife in his back.
Stunned, Clark Kent's jaw drops. The old owner of the Golden Lily was their only link in the chain of circumstances revolving about Batman and Robin's sudden disappearance. But that link is broken forever. Now what? We'll return in a moment to find out. But first, here again is your announcer.
Gang, talk about bright, sparkling color. Why, you can't beat those comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Those red and black and blue pictures of your favorite comic strip characters are real eye-catchers. And the pictures are so true to life that, well, you'd almost think they're going to talk to you. Take Harold Teen, for instance. His hair is combed just so, like in the funny papers, and he's grinning away as if he's just heard a big joke. And Smiling Jack looks mighty natural, too, in his trim-looking uniform. And Superman in bright blue jersey with red Superman insignia and that red cape flying in the wind. Yes, sir, every single one of those 18 different comic buttons is really on the beam. And you get the extra fun of trading duplicates with your friends, too. So better get busy on your collection. Ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these comic buttons. You don't send in either money or box tops, and you can't buy them anywhere. But inside every package of Pep, there's an exclusive prize. One of these nifty comic buttons, or a military insignia, or a warplane button. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
Shocked when they learned that Patsy, owner of the Golden Lily nightclub, had been found murdered, Clark Kent and Inspector Henderson hurried to the club on the waterfront, which in the bright light of day is deserted except for a porter who listlessly sweeps the floor between the empty tables. Searching the place thoroughly, Kent and Henderson finally ended up in Patsy's small private office on the little balcony above the dance floor, where the inspector has gone through the dead man's desk.
Not a thing here to show that Patsy even knew about the Crescent and Star Mob, Kent. Not a note, not an unexplained phone number, nothing. The boys couldn't find anything in his hotel either. How did he contact them?
I don't know, but I'm worried, Inspector. It's 10:15. Batman and Robin have been missing since midnight.
Well, I'll admit I'm worried myself. But what can we do? Patsy is dead. We can't find Gloria Garrett, and nobody else can tell us anything about the Crescent and Star.
I can't understand how they... Wait a minute. What's that?
What's what?
In here.
Oh, that's the storeroom. We went through it.
Yes, but I think we missed something. Come here a minute.
Well, what is it?
Look, a phonograph.
Well, what about it?
Listen to this.
Oh, we haven't time to play records, Kent.
Listen. Yeah. You hear that?
So what?
You remember the song?
Of course, All Alone. Irving Berlin wrote it, but what's
this phonograph record is the answer to our prayers.
What? Are you nuts?
No, I'm not. In a minute or two, the telephone on that desk is going to ring. And you are going to answer it.
Yeah? And who'll it be?
A member of the Crescent and Star Mob. Now, listen.
For a long moment, Inspector Henderson stares at Kent as though he were certain the Daily Planet reporter is out of his mind. In the background, the phonograph needle scratches on the recording of the once popular song, All Alone. How does Kent know the phone will ring? And why is he so certain it will be a member of the Crescent and Star Mob calling? In the meantime, Batman and Robin, with only a scant 45 minutes to go before the ceiling of their incredible torture chamber drops to the floor, are in mortal danger. From now on, the action is tense, exciting, and mysterious. So don't miss a single word of it. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, as the famous Batman and Robin join in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep, Corn Flakes, Shredded Wheat Crumbles, and Bran Flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting.
On a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense army of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive. A deadly black army from which there is no escape.
We offer you Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight, we escape to the Amazon jungle and to a creeping, crawling terror, as Carl Stevenson told it in his famous story, Leiningen versus the Ants. I first met Leiningen while performing my duties as district commissioner. As my boat neared plantation landing, I saw him upon the riverbank, regarding me with mild interest. A great hulk of a man with bristling gray hair, faulty nose, and pale eyes. His entire appearance somehow suggested an aging and shabby eagle. He escorted me to the terrace and had a drink brought. I came quickly to the point of my visit and issued my warning. Leiningen puffed placidly at a huge cigar as he listened, and then said,
Exactly what are you trying to tell me?
I'm trying to tell you that unless they alter their course, and there's no reason why they should, they'll reach your plantation in 2 days at the latest.
Well, Commissioner, it was decent of you peddling all this way just to give me the tip. But
Tip?
You're pulling my leg, of course, when you say I've got to get out.
Now, look, I assure you I'm not...
Commissioner, even a herd of crocodiles couldn't drive me from this plantation of mine.
Oh, you don't understand. These aren't creatures you can fight. They're an elemental force, a gigantic catastrophe. 10 miles long, 2 miles wide. Ants, nothing but ants. And each one as big as your thumb, and each of them a fiend from hell. Unless you clear out at once, there'll be nothing left of you but a skeleton, picked as clean as your own plantation will be.
I'm not going to run for it, Commissioner, just because trouble's on the way.
But it isn't trouble, it's...
And don't think I'm the kind of fathead who tries to beat off lightning with my fists either. I've got a better weapon, Commissioner. Intelligence. With me, the brain isn't just a second appendix. I know what it's there for.
Can't I make you understand the hideousness...
I think it is you who do not understand. In the 3 years I've been here, I've met and defeated more than one catastrophe. Flood and drought, a plague. Events which caused many of my neighbors to flee for their lives. No, Commissioner, all my life I've lived by one motto. The human brain needs only to become fully aware of its power to conquer even the elements.
Leiningen, your obstinacy is endangering not only your own life, but the lives of your 400 workers and their families. You don't know these ants. I tell you, you don't know these ants. But Leiningen merely sat there, puffing at his cigar and regarding me with a sardonic grin. And I knew it was hopeless. As I boarded my launch and cast off, I turned to look once more at this man who calmly intended to defy one of the world's greatest scourges. I felt a sudden resentment toward him, and yet, with it was something else. I had never met a man like that, and I couldn't help wondering what combination of elements made up such a creature.
I stood on the bank of the river watching the Commissioner's launch until it rounded a bend and was lost to sight. There was a strange look in the Commissioner's eyes as he stood on deck staring back at me. Clearly, he thought me, at the very least, unreasonable. Well, he wouldn't have been the first to think so. But I, Leiningen, knew my own powers. I was sure of myself. I knew that intelligence directed right always makes man the master of his fate. That night I called my Indian workers together in front of the plantation house. I saw their faces go ashen with terror as I told them the ants were coming. Watched them as they milled around, muttering. I said nothing more to them. Finally, one of the men stepped forward, Blas, the foreman.
Patron, we have worked hard here for these 3 years, all of us. We have built the finest plantation in this district. We all share in it. It has been a home for all of us and our families. Now the ants come.
So?
Those ditches we dug last year, the pipe we put in the ground, that was for the ants?
That was for the ants.
If we moved our families across the river, the ants could not reach them.
That's right. And you?
The ants are mighty. We know what they can do. All of us think that you are mighty. Yes, Patron, we will stay and fight against the ants with you.
I knew the men would give me that answer. I'd counted on it. Suddenly I thought of the Commissioner and wondered what he'd say at such unquestioning confidence. Would he still think I was, unreasonable?
All that night I could not get Leiningen out of my mind. One man who calmly evaluated his chances against a deadly menace, coolly decided that he could win, and was willing to take his life on it, to risk a horrible death for it. It was terrifying, and yet it was fascinating. When dawn came, I sent for my assistant. Together we went to the huge map of the district which hung from a wall of my office.
The last reported position of the ants came in last night. They were, here, about 70 miles above this fork in the river.
Traveling southeast?
Yes, sir.
Directly toward Leiningen.
Toward whom, sir?
Oh, that plantation at the bend in the river. Belongs to a man named Leiningen.
Oh.
When would you say the ants will reach there?
Why, I don't know, sir. I imagine about tomorrow noon.
Tomorrow noon. Still time.
Still time? What do you mean, sir?
Oh, nothing. Never mind. What did I mean? Still time for what? A Leiningen to flee, or still time for me to... Even as I rejected the thought with horror, I knew that the fascination of that man was more than I could resist. That Leiningen's fight was drawing my mind, drawing me back toward that plantation and death. I knew past all doubt that I was going back to Leiningen's plantation. I had to. It was 10 o'clock in the morning when I rounded the bend and saw Leiningen's plantation before me. I put in at the dock and tied up the launch, and then I saw him standing on the bank above me. Arms folded, stubby cigar in his mouth, and that same sardonic grin on his face. I made my way up to him.
Back for another warning, Commissioner?
No.
Oh, back to stay a while?
Yes. You don't seem very surprised.
I'm not.
You expected me?
I knew you'd be back. Come along, we'll get some horses. You'll want to ride around the plantation and take a look at the defenses I've rigged up.
Yes. I want to see the defenses.
And the ants. We'll be getting a glimpse of them before long, I should think.
Yes, and the ants.
Come along, then.
The defenses Leiningen had devised were quite impressive. Surrounding three sides of the plantation like a huge horseshoe with a ditch 12 feet wide. The ends of this horseshoe-shaped ditch ran into the river, which formed the fourth side of the plantation. And at the upriver entrance to the ditch, Leiningen had constructed a dam by which river water could be diverted into the ditch. A large hand wheel controlled the floodgate of the dam. And apparently Leiningen had ordered it opened immediately after my arrival. For as we now approached the ditch and rode along it, I could see that it was nearly full.
Well, how do you like my first line of defense, Commissioner?
Well, it's reassuring. Like a moat around a castle.
Unless the ants know how to build rafts, they won't reach the plantation. But this is only the outermost. There's a better one than this. Come along. We'll go up to the high ground where the buildings are. We can get a view from there.
Leiningen, huh? I didn't see any women or children around the plantation, or any animals.
That's right. Move them across the river.
Oh, and you think there is danger?
Oh, not because of danger, Commissioner. A matter of efficiency.
Efficiency?
Cuts down the efficiency of the men if they're worried about their families. Critical situations only become crises when oxen or women get excited.
I might have known.
Huh?
Nothing.
Here we are. See the ditch?
Much smaller than the other.
You've noticed how all the buildings are on this piece of high ground. There's in the ditch surrounds them. It's lined with concrete.
But even filled with water, this is no barrier. It's not big enough. Why, if the ants get this far,
they'll get no farther. This ditch wasn't built for water, Commissioner. See the pipes leading into it? See those storage tanks on the hill? Petrol. We can throw up a wall of flame. Care to bet they won't like that?
Leiningen, look! Over at the edge of the jungle, all those animals.
Running like the wind. Everything from jaguars to monkeys.
Good heavens.
Remember, they don't have any ditches.
And there's no escape.
They'll be all right as long as they don't get caught between the river and the ants. They can outrun the crawlers. But if they get trapped, it's either the ants or the crocodiles. Look over there on the horizon. There are your ants. Look at them.
It was a sight I'll never forget. Over the range of hills, as far as I could see, crept a darkening hem, ever longer and broader, until the shadows spread across the entire slope and then downward, uncannily swift. And all the green herbage on the entire slope was being mown as by a giant sickle, leaving only the vast moving shadow extending, deepening, and always moving nearer.
Oh, they're a hideous lot.
Leiningen, we can't last against that. Look at them. Why, they could fill your ditches with their corpses and still have enough to destroy every one of us. We've got to run.
Well, No, they haven't reached us yet, and they never will.
The hostile army was approaching in perfect formation. No human battalions, however well drilled, could ever hope to rival the precision of that advance. Along a front that moved forward as uniformly as a straight line, the ants drew nearer and nearer to the water ditch. As they approached, two outlying wings of the army detached themselves from the main body and started marching along the sides of the ditch, no doubt expecting at some point to find a crossing. And during this hour-long flanking movement, the main army remained still. Across the scant 12 feet of ditch, I stared at them. And they stared back at me. A solid mass, every one as big as my thumb, with a reddish-black body and long legs. Suddenly, a sound so unearthly as to freeze our blood jerked our heads in the direction of the jungle on the far side of the ditch. Coming toward the ditch at a stumbling gallop was a singular being, a writhing, animal-like, blackened statue with a shapeless head and 4 quivering feet. It was a stag, covered over and over with ants. Leiningen threw up his rifle, and the stag fell lifeless to the ground. Its agonies at an end. Horrified as I was, my curiosity impelled me to glance at my watch. I had to know how long the ants would take. After 6 minutes, only the white, polished bones of the stag remained. Now I could see a change in Leiningen. Gone was the sporting zest of the novel contest. In its place was a cold, violent purpose to send these vermin back to the hell where they belong. If he did not, we were both only too sure of the alternative. And now we even knew how long it would take the ants once they got to us. Around 4 in the afternoon, the ant scouts, having found no crossing, there was a stirring among the main army. And then an immense flood of ants, about 100 yards in width, commenced pouring in a glimmering black cataract down the far slope into the water-filled ditch. Thousands drowned instantly, but the rest began using the bodies as bridges. Leiningen immediately swung into action.
Anil! Get to the dam. Open the floodgate more to get the water in the ditch moving faster. Si, senor. Oh, look at them drown by the thousands.
Yes, but they keep coming. Even though the current carries many of them away, they're advancing.
We'll fix them. Blast! How about those shovels and petrol sprinklers? Have you passed them out to the men?
It has been done.
Then get all hands here in a hurry. This looks like the spot for action. Commissioner.
Yes?
Beginning to see what I was talking about?
What do you mean?
About intelligence being more than a match for anything it tackles. Pick the ants. They've got no intelligence. If they had, they'd have attacked along the whole length of the ditch instead of a narrow front like this. They'd have been across by now. Too bad for a mine not running their campaign.
You can joke about it like that with the ants halfway across the ditch?
All right, man. Busy with the shovels now. Dump some sand and clods on them. See how they like that. And you with the petrol sprinkler, start pumping. They don't like it, Commissioner. They don't like it a bit. Look at them.
Yes, but look at the ones on the far side of the ditch. Whole clumps of them rolling into the water. The rest are using them for bridges.
What's Stevenson here? He should be at the dam by now. They're getting across. More of them. Oh, grab a shovel, Commissioner. Make him regret it. What's the matter?
They thrown up my shovel. They're on my ass.
Into the petrol, idiot. Douse your paws in the petrol. Keep at it. Keep at it. You're lost if you stop now. The water's moving faster. And I'll get the floodgates open. Yeah. Look at the ants. They can't hold their own against the current now. They're being washed away. Look at them, Commissioner. The water's carrying them away. We beat them. We've won out.
It was true. Leiningen had won the opening round. The floodgates were left open to forestall any night crossing. When dawn came, the dark blanket was still there, motionless across the ditch. Then we noticed the feverish activity on the other side of the plantation. Here, a grove of tamarind trees lined the far end of the ditch, and every tree swarmed with the crawling insects. But instead of eating the leaves, they were merely gnawing through the stems, so that a thick green shower fell steadily to the ground.
Last. Have all the petrol pumps brought? Get everyone over here except the lookouts on the other side, then pass out the shovels.
Si, senor.
Looks like I underestimated them when I said they didn't have intelligence.
What do you mean?
I said if they wanted to get across, they'd have to have rafts. And that's just what they've got. Those leaves are their rafts. Even as he spoke, the leaves went tumbling down the far bank by the thousands. The current drew them away from the bank, and each leaf was crawling with ants.
Don't worry, Commissioner. I've still got a trick up my sleeve.
The water! The ditch is drying up.
Of course it's drying up. That's the plan. Those are the orders I sent to the dam.
Are you mad? As soon as it's empty, what's to prevent the ants from... Look, the water's way down. It's almost dry. They'll be able to come across the bottom.
They'll not make it if the man at the dam carries out his orders. He should have opened the gates again by now.
To flood the ants?
Right.
What a chance to take. If anything should happen, don't you...
Here it comes. Here comes the water. Now we'll get the crawlers in the ditch a good ride out into the river. There. Look at them go.
Leiningen's tactics were successful. At first. The violent flow of water at the original depth raced through the ditch, overwhelming leaves and ants and sweeping them along. 3 times the ditch was empty. 3 times the ants raced across its bottom. And 3 times the rushing water, arriving just in time, carried them away. But the 4th time, the level dropped nearly to the bottom of the ditch. We waited in vain for the rushing waters, and then...
Senor! What's the matter? What's going on at the dam?
The ants, senor. Just as the man at the dam lowered the water almost to the bottom, the ants attacked. Before he could open the floodgates, he was almost surrounded. He ran. The ants kept coming. They are across the ditch, senor.
Leiningen stood, motionless, absorbing the news of his defeat without a word. Then, simply, he raised his pistol and fired 3 shots into the air. A prearranged signal for all men to retreat, instantly to the second line of defense. The concrete ditch was more than a mile from the point of invasion. Soon after we arrived there, the natives commenced straggling in, silently. Leiningen waited until all of them had gathered. Then he spoke to them.
Well, lads, we won the first round and lost the second. But we'll smash the crawlers yet. Anyone who thinks otherwise can draw his pay and push off. There are rafts enough on the river and plenty of time still to reach them. You stay then? Good. Thank you, lads. And you, Commissioner?
I can't persuade you to go up the fight, huh?
You cannot.
Then I stay too.
I knew you would.
Senor, a few of the ants have reached the ditch.
They're trying to get across?
No.
I didn't think they would. There's plenty of food over there for them. My fields, my orchards, my work of 3 years. Ought to last them until morning anyway.
Yes, we were safe for the moment. But the next morning, the black swarm was solid around us. Their shock troops were hard at work. They were dropping shreds of bark and twigs and leaves into the petrol-filled ditches, forming a floating bridge across the surface of the liquid. Leiningen stood silently watching this operation, and I could see a grudging admiration in his face. Then, after several hours, the attack came. Down the ditch they poured, millions of them, and across the bridge of twigs, rapidly approached the inner side. Leiningen sat motionless, watching them. Leiningen, for the love of God, don't sit there like a statue. They'll be on us in a moment.
Let them fill the ditch first. Now, all right, everyone back from the ditch. Blas, hand me the torch. Now we'll see how our friends like a little heat around them.
The flames from the ditch shot into the air, devouring ants by the million. It was some time before the petrol burned down to the bed of the ditch. And when it did, the devils came back for more. Again and again, Leiningen fired the ditch to destroy them. But as they returned to the assault time after time, a slow, sickening horror crept into my mind. I looked quickly at Leiningen and then the petrol tanks. He read my gaze, nodded slowly.
That's right, Commissioner. We could hold them out forever if our supply of petrol was unlimited, but it isn't. We've only got enough to fill the ditch once more.
Leiningen, isn't there a way? Any way at all?
There must be. Yes, there must be a way.
Yes.
Yes, yes!
What is it? We'll flood the whole plantation.
Flood? But how?
The river's higher than any point except this high ground we're on now. If the river was dammed all the way, it'd overflow that stone breakwater and flood the whole plantation. We've got to close the floodgate at the dam. That'll do it.
You're mad. The dam is more than a mile away. A mile of ants. It's impossible. You'll never get there, let alone get back.
That's where you're wrong, Commissioner. I'll get there and I'll get back. Ha! Ha! Take care of things while I'm gone, eh?
I watched him as he calmly pulled on high leather boots, drew gauntlets over his hands, and stuffed the spaces between breeches and boots, gauntlets and arms with petrol-soaked rags. He shielded his eyes with close-fitting mosquito goggles and plugged his nostrils and ears with cotton. Then the natives drenched his clothes with petrol. Bloss, who acted as doctor to the men, smeared a salve over him. And finally, Leiningen was ready. And he stood surveying the course he must take to the dam. I sensed a sudden calm.
As I stood near the ditch ready for the run, I realized this was as it should be. I, Leiningen, would meet the ants and defeat them, or be defeated by them. Leiningen versus the ants. Yes, it was right that it should be like this. But now there was no more time for thought, only action. I took a deep breath and then bounded across the ditch and among the ants. I ran in long, equal strides with one thought, one sensation in my being. I must get through. I dodged all trees and shrubs. Except for the split seconds my soles touched the ground, the ants would have no opportunity to light on me. I ran on. I was halfway to the dam before I felt ants under my clothes and a few on my face. I struck at them mechanically, scarcely conscious of their bite. The dam drew toward me slowly. The distance grew less. Less. Finally, only 100 yards away. 50. Then I was there. I gripped the ant-covered wheel. Hardly had I seized it when a horde of ants flowed over my hands and arms. I strained. Slowly the wheel turned. Turned more. Floodgate was swinging, slowly shut. And then more shut. And the water was rising behind the breakwater, closer to the top. Closer. Then it was spilling over. The flooding of the plantation had begun. I let go of the wheel. Started back through the ants. For the first time I realized I was coated from head to foot with the fumes. Tongues of fire stabbed me as they bit into my flesh. I almost lost my head with the pain as I ran, knocking ants from my body, brushing them from my bloody face. And then one bit me just below the rim of my goggles. Managed to tear it away. The agony of the bite and its venom drilled into the eye nerves. I saw now it was circles of fire into a milky mist. I was almost blinded, but I knew that if I tripped and fell, I ran on, my heart pounding as if it would burst, blood roaring in my ears, a giant's fist battering my lungs. Then I could see dimly that wall of flame at the ditch. Oh, but it was too far away. I couldn't last half that distance. I stumbled. I fell. I felt myself being swarmed over, devoured. Tried to rise. A great weight. And suddenly the vision of the half-devoured stag in my brain. 6 minutes, then nothing but bones. I couldn't let that happen to me. I couldn't die like that. To my feet. My feet. Back myself forward. Toward the flame. The ditch. Ring of flame. Closer now. Only a little farther. 10 steps. 8. 5.
It seemed we had waited for hours. When all at once, through the blazing ring around us, an apparition hurtled and fell full length on the ground. It was Leiningen, alive with ants, unconscious with glazing eyes and lacerated face. We rushed to him, stripped off his clothes, and tore at the ants that covered him. His body seemed almost one open wound. In one place, I could see a white bone. Later, as the curtain of flame lowered, I looked out where that blanket of ants had been and saw only a vast expanse of water covering the entire plantation. working its way to within a few feet of the concrete ditch. The ants were gone, drowned, and Leiningen had won. He lay on his bed, his body swathed from head to foot with bandages, but alive and still in command.
Everything in order?
Everything's in order.
I told you I'd come back. Even if I am a bit streamlined.
He grinned, shut his eyes. He slept.
Escape was directed this week by Richard Sandville, and tonight brought you Leiningen versus the Ants by Carl Stevenson, adapted for radio by Robert Wright, with Tudor Owen as Leiningen and Gerald Moore as the Commissioner. Music conducted by Wilbur Hatch.
Next week, when you're tired out from doing nothing all weekend, when Blue Monday stares you in the face, next week at this time when your problems seem just too much for you, we offer you Escape.
Next week, we bring you another exciting story by one of the world's great authors. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense, which is usually heard at this hour on Thursday nights, is taking its customary summer holiday. Suspense returns to the air 3 weeks from tonight on Thursday, September 1st.
You are with 3 men on a jungle plantation on the rubber coast of Borneo. You know that one of the men is a desperate criminal whom you've come to arrest, but you don't know which one. You have to find him before he can save himself by killing you.
We offer you Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight, we escape to a Borneo jungle in a tantalizing search for a murderer, as L.G. Blockman told it in his famous story, Red Wine.
As the rusty little tramp freighter bumped against the rickety wharf, I dropped from the rail onto the planking, and for the first time felt the humid heat roll out of the jungle like steam from the back door of a Turkish bath. I'd come a long way. 6 days before, I'd stepped off a float in San Francisco Bay, climbed aboard a Pan American clipper headed for the South Pacific. 2 days later, I'd boarded the mailboat in Batavia. And now, Tanyong Samar, sweltering and half forgotten. Last outpost on the rubber coast of Borneo. Yes, a long journey. But here would now mark the end of it. I'd come to arrest a murderer. I crossed the beach and walked up a path of crushed shells leading to a low bungalow at the edge of the jungle. The freighter would lie at the wharf for 4 hours. Plenty of time for me to get the thing over with and be back aboard when she sailed. I was expecting danger, of course, but no real trouble. I'd done jobs like this before, so I stepped confidently up on the porch and met Herr Kurt, controller of the Tanyong Samar district.
Yeah, I am Mynheer Kurt, the controller. What is it I can do for you?
I have a letter of introduction here from the Governor General. Here you are.
Yeah. Mr. Paul Vernier from the United States.
The Governor promised me your cooperation.
So I see. Cooperation? That's good. But he doesn't say cooperation in what?
Well, I've come here after a killer, Mr. Kurt.
Oh, Dayaks maybe? Headhunters?
No, this one's a civilized killer, an American. Wanted in San Francisco for murdering his wife. His name is Jerome Steeks.
Oh, I see. Won't you sit down, Mr. Vernier?
Yes, thank you.
Wonkin, bar coffee.
That's one, Mr. I bring one way.
We will have coffee in a moment.
Oh, that's nice of you, but maybe I'd better pick this guy up first. I'd hate to miss the boat and have to lay over 5 days.
You are acquainted with this Steeks, Mr. Vernier?
No, I've never seen it.
But you do have photographs.
No, I'm afraid not. This was a very clever killer. He apparently took great pains to see that he was never photographed. He carefully eliminated all the fingerprints as well. What are you driving at, Mr. Kurt?
Simply this. There is no one in my district by the name of Steeks.
Oh, no, of course not. He wouldn't be using his own name. There is an American here, though, isn't there? 3
of them, Mr. Vernier. Employed as foreman on the Cotta rubber plantation.
Well, according to my information, Steeks came here from Batavia about 6 months ago.
We all arrived 6 months ago on the same boat. The Cotta company is just going back into operation.
I see. Well, according to the people who've seen him, Jerome Steeks is a man about 35 years old, of medium height and slight build, pale complexion with black hair and mustache.
Amazing. Any one of these men might fit the description, except that all are clean-shaven and heavily tanned from tropical sun. Furthermore, Mr. Vernier, all 3 of the men have light blonde hair.
A coffee should have seen it, Mr.
Good. Pour out 2 cups, Wong. I'll have Wong bring your baggage up from the wharf, Mr. Vernier.
Yeah, thank you, Wong.
It appears your business may take a little longer than 4 hours.
I'm certain of the information I got in Batavia. I know the man's here.
Then the problem resolves itself into a matter of identification. Politiek is a karan.
No, an hour's talk with the 3 of them ought to do that.
I doubt it, Mr. Vernier. The swamps here at Tanjung Samar are infested with fever. It's always hot, like now. And the jungles back there swarm with long-tailed true snakes and deadly cobras. In the rivers, crocodiles.
So?
Men rarely come here unless they're running away from something, trying to lose their past. I think you'll find all 3 men have manufactured stories. So, how is one to choose?
Well,
And moreover, according to this letter, I'm authorized by the governor to assist you in arresting and extraditing Jerome Steeks. 1 man, not 3.
So it's up to me, huh?
Oh, do not misunderstand me, Mr. Vernier. I will cooperate with you in every way. But I think it will be a very hard thing to identify this man you have never seen when he doesn't wish to be identified.
I don't know. Sometimes it's easier to identify a man from his personality than from his physical appearance.
And the personality of this man Steeks is something out of the ordinary?
Yeah, for a foreman on a rubber plantation, yes. Yeah, I doubt if all 3 of these men can be aristocrats. And in a sense, that's what Steeks is, a cosmopolitan. Lived all over the world, always associating with top society. He's a lover of fine foods and wines, speaks French and German fluently. He's a gourmet, a bon vivant, a man of perfect taste in clothes and manners.
And a murderer.
Yes, and a murderer.
When the 3 men return from the clearing this evening, I shall be happy to introduce you to them. Though it's quite probable they are aware of your identity already.
What do you mean?
Jungle grapevine. Before you stepped off the wharf, my houseboat told me that you were a detective. Undoubtedly the same information has reached the clearings by now.
I see. So in other words, the murderer probably knows who I am and what I'm here for. But I haven't the slightest idea who he is, huh?
Exactly. It's quite an interesting thought, isn't it? More coffee, Mr. Vernier? Mr. Vernier, I would like you to meet Mr. Doran.
Hi, Mr. Vernier.
And this is Mr. Wilmerding.
Pleasure, Mr. Vernier.
I'll save you the trouble, Kurt. My name's Prale. Glad to meet you.
Same here, Mr. Prayle.
You might as well drop that mister. We don't use it much around here. I'm Prayle, that's Duran, and Wilmerding, and you're Vernier, if it's all the same to you.
Sure, Prayle. Why not?
Now, if you gentlemen will excuse me, I have a number of things to do. Bring Mr. Vernier to my bungalow for dinner. We'll celebrate having a guest at Tanjong Samar.
Oh, sure. I'll see you. Well, Herr Kurt tells me all three of you are Americans.
Well, I don't know whether I'm still one or not. Haven't been to the States in 7 years.
7 years, huh? Then you're an old-timer here, Duran.
Oh, not here, Australia.
No, don't let Duran get started, Veneer. He'll spend 2 hours telling you how he lost his shirt trying to raise sheep down under.
Well, if I had either money or sense, I wouldn't have come to this stinking home.
Oh, I wouldn't say you fellows had it too rough. I've been noticing those empty bottles there in the shelf.
What do you mean, Vernier?
Well, here, Piper Heidsieck, 1936. That's good champagne. You boys are living like gourmets. Connoisseurs.
Oh, you're overrating us, Veneer. Those empty bottles were already here when we came. Just never got around to throwing them out.
Prayle here's the only connoisseur in the bunch. He can tell you anything you want to know about wine.
Yeah, or about anything.
Oh, dry up. Just because a guy happens to know a little more than somebody else is no reason to keep riding him all the time.
I wish you knew some way to make ice. I'm getting plenty fed up with warm beer day in, day out.
Yes, that would get pretty tiresome. I think I'd switch to Chambertin or Chablis or something.
Coming in?
Well, Wilmerding, I didn't necessarily mean those in particular, but there are quite a number of wines that are even better warm than they are chilled.
You're in the wrong place, chum. We wouldn't know what to do with them if we had them. This is strictly a beer and gin crowd.
There'd be no kick on that if we had some ice to go with it. Oh, what I wouldn't give for a cold, frosty...
Oh, relax, Wilmerding. You make me thirsty.
Oh.
What do you say to some music, huh?
Oh, music? Does one of you play some instrument?
Sure, Prayle. He's terrific on that phonograph over there in the corner. Only trouble is he thinks 3 o'clock in the morning is the greatest song ever written.
Well, I can see that leading to quite an argument, Duran, particularly if you're a lover of the classics.
Oh, no. I don't go for that long hair stuff. But I would like to hear a fast number once in a while. It's less than 10 years old.
Yeah, you ought to see this collection Prayle dragged up here from Batavia. Strictly from the gay 90s.
Prayle, you don't by any chance have a number called Il y a un meurtrier dans sa maison?
What's that, some Italian opera?
No, it's French, approximately.
Well, come on, Prayle. Translate it for us. You claim to be an expert on the French language.
Well, it's worded kind of funny. It's like poetry.
Oh, sure.
That last word, though, that maison, that means house. I know that.
That's too bad. I thought maybe Jerome Steeks might translate it.
Huh?
It refers to him, of course.
Steeks? What are you talking about?
The sentence reads, "There's a murderer in this house."
Well, so you're finally coming out in the open, huh?
Yeah, we heard you were a detective.
Yeah, that's right. So what about it, Steeks? You want to give up now or try to go on with your act?
Wait a second, Vernier. I get it now. You're after some killer you've never seen named Steeks, and you figure one of us is it, huh?
Yeah, that's right, Prayle.
Then the guy you're after is Wilmerding.
Are you crazy?
Who ever heard anybody with a name like Wilmerding unless they made it up?
Made up nothing. I got a passport to prove it. What are you trying to do, Prayle? Turn attention away from yourself?
I got nothing to hide. It's either you or Duran.
What? Listen, you can leave me out of this right now. There's plenty of people in Australia that can tell you who I am.
Unfortunately, though, there's nobody in Tanjong Samar who can tell me for certain who any of you are. But one of you is a murderer. And by the time the boat gets back here, since I'm obviously not going to be able to leave with her when it sails in an hour, I'll know which one. Either I'm going to take Jerome Steeks back to San Francisco with me, or I'm going to kill him trying to. You can count on it. Well, what do you say we go on over to Kurt's bungalow and have dinner?
That's Wilmerding's room there. Duran sleeps here, and Prayle on down at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the guest room. At least the only guest room that's usable at the present.
Yeah, it looks all right.
Well, it's used for the time you're here, Mr. Vernier.
Do all of these rooms open out onto the porch?
Yes, the veranda, as we call it.
And there's no way to lock this door, I suppose.
Unfortunately, no. And anyway, the windows are covered only by mosquito netting. It makes another interesting situation, does it not?
Yeah, I suppose interesting is the word for it.
I assume, Mr. Vernier, that you have not been able to identify your man by his personality.
No, whichever one is Sticks is putting on an awfully good act.
Most likely they're all acting to a greater or lesser extent, which of course makes your problem exceedingly difficult.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Kent. You did say a man rarely came here unless he wanted to lose his past. And yet you're here.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. But then, I am only a servant of the government and have little choice where I am sent. Well, good night, Mr. Vernier.
I sat there in the lamplight for a long time after Kent left, trying to figure things out and getting nowhere. Gradually, the night breeze brought the smell of the jungle into the room. Rich, exotic, fragrant as a midnight orchid, as disturbing as the scent of danger. Or maybe it was danger itself I was smelling. The heavy knife missed my throat by 2 inches. Cut it into a bamboo partition and stuck there, quivering. I dropped down on the floor and slid my .38 out of its holster. I could hear nothing but the rustle of palm thatch along the eaves, low creaks from the pilings underneath the bungalow, and the soft night sounds from the jungle. Finally, I slipped my shoes off, pulled the knife out of the wall and dropped it in my pocket, moved to the door and stepped quietly out into the veranda. It was empty. Across the railing, the fringe of undergrowth was dappled in silver moonlight, and nothing moved. I paused quickly at the 3 doors, and from each heard the sound of snoring. One of the men was faking, but which one? I'd reached the end of the porch when my eye caught a slight movement in the banana clump a few yards from the steps. Someone was hiding there. I moved swiftly, holding the gun ready, and came within a few feet before I could make out a shape in red and white sarong. And shape was right, complete with dark, tumbled curls and a flower behind one ear. It was a girl.
Please, Tuan, the gun. You're going to shoot me?
No. Relax, honey. I was looking for somebody else.
And now you have found Nilana, so you are disappointed?
Pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. Nilana, huh?
In your language, it means flower of love.
Yes. Perfect fit. Are you, blooming out here all alone?
I do not understand, Tuan.
I mean, did you see anybody moving around up there on the veranda a while ago?
Only you, Tuan. I became frightened and ran to hide.
Frightened? Why?
I should not be here. At night, I mean. Let us talk of something else.
All right, Nilana. The moon, for instance?
Oh, yes. Look. Is it not big and soft and warm?
Yeah, all of that.
Tuan, you like Nilana, perhaps?
Definitely.
Why do we not go somewhere else? Along the beach, perhaps? You would like that?
Well,
I'm afraid Mr. Vernier is too serious-minded for such things, Nilana.
Vernier!
Well, Mr. Kent, join us, won't you?
Thank you. Nilana, go to the bungalow at once.
Yes, Vernier, I go immediately.
She has no business being out alone at night. But, Mr. Vernier, is something wrong with your room? Is it not comfortable?
It was, until this flew in through the window.
A knife?
Yeah, a throwing knife. You ever see it before?
Oh, yeah. It is one of the collection there in the bungalow. The 3 Americans throw them at targets every evening and wager on the results. I believe Mr. Durant taught the other 2.
Yeah, what about you, Mr. Kent? Do you ever bet with them?
It would be too easy. Watch.
Yeah.
I learned to throw a knife in Java many years ago.
And, Nilana, I suppose she's an expert at it, too.
Nilana knows nothing of knives. Her greatest accomplishment is that of making friends too easily.
I see. Just who is she, anyway? She live here?
Yeah, she lives here. She is my wife.
Your wife?
Exactly. My wife. Good night, Mr. Vernier.
I stood there in the moonlight and watched him walk toward his bungalow. My simple task was fast becoming involved. When I finally turned in that night, I undressed in the dark, pushed the bed up to block the door, and propped a chair against the windowsill, and lay down on the floor. I kept trying to fit some theory together to account for the things that had happened. When I drifted off to sleep, I was no nearer any answer than before. I woke up with the first light of dawn, and for a full minute was ready to predict a peaceful day. Then I turned my head slightly and saw it. On the floor, against the wall, 18 inches from my left hand, its eyes opening and unmoving, lay a long-tail, one of the deadliest snakes in Borneo. Cold sweat broke out of my forehead, ran to the corners of my eyes. Not daring to make any sudden move, I slid my right hand slowly up behind me, found my gun under the pillow. The snake moved slightly, and I froze for 1 long minute. Carefully, I brought the gun over until I hit the ugly head centered above the foresight. Then...
Who fired that shot?
I did, sir. In here.
Hey, Coach, what's all the shooting about? I found a log around. It's Mr. Vanille fired. What's up, Duran? Yeah, what was that noise? I just went in doing a little target practicing. Come on, guys.
Just a minute. Just a minute. I'll let you in. There.
Mr. Vanille, you all right?
Sure, Kurt. Come in. I had an early morning visitor. There on the floor.
A longtail. Did he bite you?
No, he didn't.
What the devil's all the racket about? Oh, a snake, eh? That's funny.
What's funny, Duran?
A longtail, Wilmerding. I just killed one here in my room.
Well, there's plenty of them around, but I never heard of one crawling into a room before.
I'm not sure it did crawl in. Got an idea it may have been dropped in through the mosquito netting there at the window.
Yeah? By whom?
By a guy named Jerome Steeks. Ever hear of him, Duran?
Oh, that again. Why don't you pick up Wilmerding? He's your man.
Oh, sure. I always carry a couple of snakes around in my pocket, just for luck.
Hey, what I want to know is who carries this around in their pocket for luck.
Hey, that's one of our knives from the living room. We throw him at a target.
Yeah, I know. Only last night I was the target.
Oh, then Trail's your boy. He's an expert. Wins every time we play.
Oh, dry up, Duran. One more crack like that.
Okay, relax. So nobody knows anything about these accidents. They just happen, huh? Well, here's a warning to whichever one of you is Steeks. The next time, you better cover yourself. I'm through being a clay pigeon. From now on, it's going to be a lot tougher. A whole lot tougher. That day passed, and the next, and I got exactly nowhere. On the third day, I managed to search the men's quarters and found nothing. Mainly, I'd hoped to find some kind of a bleaching agent. Steeks was described as having black hair, while all 3 of these men were blonde. Furthermore, I was convinced after 3 days of observation that all 3 were naturally blonde. Things didn't fit. They didn't add up. I saw Nalana several times, but had no chance to speak to her. When Herr Kurt was with me, she'd pass without a glance. But if I was alone, she'd manage a quick, provocative smile that sent shivers down my spine. By the 4th day, the tension among us was growing almost unbearable. Steamer was due the next evening on his return trip to Batavia. I needed a break of some kind, had to have one. And it came at dusk when I dropped in my room to change for dinner.
Close the door. Quick, Tuan. Speak softly. It is I, Nilana.
Nilana, what in the devil are you doing here?
To see you, Tuan. Does that make you unhappy?
No, it doesn't. But I doubt if Herr Kurt would think much of the idea.
He must not find out. But I wish to ask you something.
Oh, Danny, shoot.
It is true that you look for a man who has killed a woman in your United States?
Yes, that's right.
A man who now names himself by another name?
Yes. Nilana, do you know?
It is perhaps the same one who one night threw a knife at you?
Yes, I think so. You know who it is?
I saw the knife thrown to when I was outside by the edge of the...
Quiet.
It is someone?
Yeah. That's Herr Kurt. He's going in the living room.
I'm very frightened, Tuan. I must go.
No, wait. I've got to know what you're going to do.
There's no time now. Tonight, when everyone sleeps, wait by the towel farm at the edge of the clearing. I will come.
All right. I'll be there.
Ilana has done foolish things, Tuan. But tonight, she will fix it all good. You come.
I waited for a long time in the shadow by the palm tree and watched the moonlight sift down through the shaggy fronds. But 2 hours passed, and she didn't come. Waiting there, though, in the jungle night, a plan began to form in my mind. Long shot true enough, but one with possibilities. It needed a lot to work. But I'd come to the point where I had to count on a little luck. At any rate, I decided to start the ball rolling the next morning after breakfast.
Now, wait a minute, Vernier. Let's get this straight.
Oh, I thought I put it straight enough, Duran. I said the hunt's off. Boat's due in tonight, and when it leaves, I go with it. You can relax.
Oh? What changed your mind? Our sweet disposition?
No, exactly the opposite, Wilmerding. Every one of you acts as guilty as the next one, and yet in 5 days I haven't been able to find a single characteristic in any of you that fits the description of Steeks. I don't think he's that good an actor. So I'm going back to Batavia and pick up the trail there.
Well, at least you finally got some sense in your head and decided to believe what we told you the first day you were here.
Oh, no, Duran. I didn't say that. Now, I doubt very much if any of you guys is who he claims to be. I wouldn't be surprised if Duran, Wilmerding, and Trail are all phony names, but that's not my business. Now, I came here after Steeks. I decided now I made a mistake, and that's that.
Oh, great. You come in here and push us around for a week and then decide it was all a mistake.
I'm sorry, Trail. And I'm going to try to make up for it this evening. See, I'm throwing a dinner party at Herr Kirk's bungalow before the boat leaves tonight. You're all invited.
Well, now that's pretty decent of you, Vernier.
Yeah, I'll get some food and drinks from the captain as soon as he docks. If you're as fed up with Ricestoppel and warm beer as I am, you'll be ready for a change.
Thank you.
Good. Then it's all settled. And I can promise you at least 2 surprise dishes. Maybe 3, if you care for it.
Pardon, gentlemen.
Oh, Kurt, come in.
I was wondering whether any of you had seen Alana this morning.
Not me.
Oh, I haven't. Why? What's wrong, Kurt?
I'm rather concerned about her, Mr. Vernier. She hasn't been home since early last night.
I had a couple of ideas about that myself. Ideas I wish I didn't have. As soon as the rest of the bunch went about their business, I began my own search for Alana. It was nearly dusk before I found her. And then I said nothing about it to anyone. But sitting at the table that night while the dinner party moved along, I kept thinking how she'd never smile again. How she'd never walk in the moonlight again. Because somebody had cut her throat.
I know a story along the same lines, but I never heard that one before.
Oh, what a dinner. Boy, after 6 months on Ricestoppel, I could go crazy over food like this.
Yeah, when you throw one for there, you really throw it. No. Save the credit for it. This is only the beginning.
Beginning? What can you go from here?
Well, right now, for instance, roast boar. Yeah. All right, Wong, bring it over.
Thomas, all right away. I bring it. Look. Would you like me put here for you to carve, Thomas?
No, I wonder if you'd mind carving, Herkert.
Not at all, Mr. Vernier. I shall be happy to. Place it here, Wong.
Boy, oh boy, I haven't had roast boar since Australia. You know, we used to go pig-sticking all the time.
Even the smell's enough to drive you crazy.
Man, you said it, Frail. You haven't seen anything yet. See, the boar is the main dish, so the 2 surprises go right along with it. All right, Wong. Now, bring it up.
That's all, Mr. All the day I bring.
Careful now. Don't drop it. Yeah, thanks. Well, there you are.
What is it, some kind of wine?
Not some kind. It's Chambertin, vintage 1911. Unquestionably one of the finest red wines that exists in the world today.
Holy smoke, where'd you get it?
I found out on the trip in. The captain of the steamer had a few bottles. Took a lot of talking to get one out of him, but here, I'll open it up one. Maybe the glasses?
Sorry, Thomas, it's already here outside, boy.
Good. Well, boys, you may go back to warm beer tomorrow, but you've got the best tonight. All right, Wong. Now, show him the second surprise.
Here's 1 big bucket.
Ice? What do you want us to gosh cracked ice? Boy, I haven't seen a chunk of ice for 6 months.
I thought you'd go for that one. All right, Wong. Serve the wine.
Sorry, Thomas.
It was pretty amazing to find 1911 Samberton in a little tramp trader down here in the South Pacific. Stuff's so rare, it's hard to get at any price.
Maybe so, but that ice is what gets me.
Yeah, that's it, Wong. Dump plenty in mine. I want to freeze my tongue.
Hey, Wong, stop that. What the hell are you doing? Overting, what's the matter with you?
Why, he's... But I mean...
You mean you're well aware of the fact that ice kills the bouquet of Chambertin? Isn't that it, Steeks?
Steeks? You mean Wilmerding is...
Once a gourmet, always a gourmet. Now, you were very clever, Wilmerding. Clever enough to keep your hair dyed black for years so you could become a natural blonde if you ever had to make a getaway. Clever enough to permit no photographs to be taken. but not clever enough to keep still and let me ruin a bottle of wine. Easy with those hands. Don't try reaching for a gun.
Let him reach for it, Mr. Veneer.
Can't. No. Put down the knife. Look out, Veneer. He's going for his gun.
Good, I've warned it.
Help you!
Good Lord, Kurt, you've killed him.
I'm sorry you do not have a prisoner to take back with you, Mr. Veneer. But I, too, found Nilana's body. I knew you had been there. I saw your footprints.
I'm sorry. Then
yes,
she had...
Nilana had been seeing Wilmot. I'd guessed it was one of the three, and apparently she found out he was Steeks.
Yeah, I know. That was what she was going to tell me. Only he didn't give her a chance.
She was young, Mr. Veneer. Foolish, perhaps. But I loved her very much.
Look, he knocked over that bottle of wine when he fell. It's pouring out all over the place.
Yeah, brother, what a mess.
Yeah, Di. It's quite a mess. Only one thing, though. Not all of it is red wine.
Escape was directed this week by Richard Sandville, and tonight brought you Red Wine by L.G. Blockman, adapted for radio by Mort Lewis and Les Crutchfield, with Willard Waterman as Paul Vernier. Featured players were Robert Boone, Marion Richmond, Larry Dobkin, Vic Perrin, Wilms Herbert, and Clark Gordon. Music is conducted by Wilbur Hatch.
Next week, you are standing at the doorway of the cabin on Cashier Creek. Up on the ridge, the bloodhounds have caught your scent. And between you and a fortune, between you and escape, yawn the white jaws of a deadly snake, a cottonmouth moccasin.
Next week, we escape with Irvin S. Cobb's ironic story, Snake Doctor. Be with us next week at the same time when once again we offer you Escape. Tip Corning speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The American Broadcasting Company Radio Network presents Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy have been locked in a laboratory on the planet Venus. Outside the heavy door, the criminal mastermind Rolf Boger has shouted a weird threat.
Commander, is Boger kidding us? Can he really throw a bottle of acid through that solid door?
I don't know, but if he does, try to catch it. Keep it on the vibration field.
There's the bottle that came right through the door. Smoking rockets, the lab is on fire.
Hit that door, Hap.
The fire's spreading, sir.
If that door doesn't give pretty soon, then we're finished.
We'll be back in a moment with the thrilling story, The Invisible Enemy. The United States has seen many changes in the past dozen years, all pointing to a still better way of living. Millions more Americans are working, earning more, saving more. More young people are going to high school and college. More of us are enjoying the luxuries of life, sports, radio, television, the theater, concerts. Church attendance and membership has climbed steadily upward, and, in addition to these material and spiritual changes, have come the miracles of jet propulsion, supersonic flight, antibiotics. The better you know America, the better the future looks. Write for the free booklet, The Future of America, Box 1776, Grand Central Station, New York, 17. Now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Invisible Enemy. Somewhere in the solar system, there lurks a dangerous enemy. His name is Rolf Boger, and he holds control of an invention so revolutionary that the entire resources, enterprise, and courage of the Space Patrol are almost powerless to combat it. Commander Corey, in his first encounter with Boger and his criminal activities, succeeded in capturing Clayton Slake, Boger's accomplice and chief muscle man. As Buzz and Happy bring Slake aboard the Terra 5 at the Terra spaceport, the criminal smirks over his shoulder at the commander.
Get in that compartment, Slake. Why the rush to take me to the Venus Rehabilitation Center? Are you afraid Boger might rescue me? Is that it?
Yes. We know that Boger has an electronic device that enables him to walk through solid matter, through walls of buildings.
Sure. Boger can go anywhere he wants. He can help himself to anything he chooses. Money, government secrets, or, the Space Patrol.
We're going to be sure you won't get used. Come on.
Yes, sir. So long, boy.
All right, Hap, up forward.
Slake sure doesn't seem worried.
No, that may be just a knack. Or he may be too ignorant to realize the limits of Boger's device.
Just what are the limits? If he can walk through solid matter as though it wasn't there, well, he can do just about anything.
Boger's motive is greed, I think. Sooner or later, he'll attempt something a machine can do, but Boger himself can't survive.
And he'll destroy himself.
Exactly. He might take innocent people along with him. Blast off, Hap.
Well, we're cleared with space control, sir. We've got the green light for space lock number 3.
Okay. Close ports.
Close ports.
Fire jet.
Fire jet.
Up, chipping away.
As the commander's ship blasts off from Terra and eases into its flight orbit for Venus, two men in another spaceship intently watch their periscope screen.
That's Corey's ship, Boger. I guess I better get into my spacesuit.
There is no hurry, Grog. I got to compute his exact vector and then set our own course to intersect it.
And we close in, midway between Terra and Venus, right?
Yes. Here. Put these on just before you get into your suit.
What are they? Some kind of goggles?
They are electronic spectacles.
For what?
When we move in close to Corey's ship, all the matter in this ship will be vibrating at a very high frequency.
Yeah, I know. That's what makes us invisible.
Exactly. And ordinary matter will be invisible to us because it's on a lower spectrum, a lower plane.
These electronic spectacles fix it so I can see to rescue Slake from Corey's ship, ain't it?
That's right.
How come Slake and I never used these goggles before?
You have never been invisible before. You have walked through walls, but the field was at a low rate of vibration. You could be seen and you could see.
Are you sure nothing will go wrong? I'll stay invisible?
Follow instructions. We'll go over it once more, just to make sure. Now, let's assume that this ship is now invisible, and I pulled alongside Corey's ship.
Yeah, the signal from you, I step through the hull of this ship into the Terra 5.
But first, turning your field control on your belt.
Yeah, naturally. Inside the Terra 5, I search for Slake. I give him the extra spacesuit I brought along, then we go after Corey.
You got it. When you have finished, Corey, spaceophone me, then come back aboard. All right, Druck, put your electronic spectacles in place. I'm going to make this entire ship invisible.
All set.
There. The ultra-vibration field is on. Our ship is invisible, even to Corey's view.
There's no way out of this compartment, that's sure. Hey, what's that? Something funny's going on. Where did you come from?
The hull of the ship.
Benson Brock.
Yeah, it's me. But calm down. Here, I brought your spacesuit. Put it on.
Sure, but how did you get in the ship?
From Boger's cruiser. Right outside, waiting.
How'd you pull alongside without Corey finding out?
Boger's ship's invisible. Just like you'll be when you turn up the field and your spacesuit's out.
Invisible?
Yeah. Boger's using extra high frequencies this time. Guess he's got a lot of tricks you and I don't know about. Here, let me help you with your suit.
Thanks. Well, sure glad to get out of here.
We got a job to do first. We've got to finish Corey.
Well, I don't know about
Boger's orders. How many are aboard? Just Corey, Nikita. Two of us can handle him. We'll take it by surprise.
Yeah? I tried that once. That's why I'm here.
This time there are two of us, and we'll be invisible.
We can't attack Corey while we're invisible. We'll pass right through him like you would through a wall or the hull of a ship.
Now, that's right. While we're invisible, we're as harmless as moonbeams. So we can sneak up on him. When we cut off the field control, that makes us solid.
Then we take care of him.
That's thorough. Come on, finish with that spaceman. Oh, wait, I forgot your electronic goggles. Is it? What do you think? You'll need them to see with when you're invisible. I'll see you how they work.
Well, Hap, we're past the halfway point of Venus, and no trouble yet.
Are you expecting any?
Well, I've been on the alert for spaceships. I thought Boja might make an attempt to rescue Slate.
Yeah, I think it's too big a risk for Boja to take. Anyhow, we can pick up another gorilla like Slate without any trouble. Hey, Commander, I've been thinking.
Yes, sir.
It'll be about 2 hours before I reach Venus, and by the time we hand over Slate to the rehabilitation camp, that'll be another half an hour.
Oh, you're hungry, is that it?
Me? Oh, no, not especially. But I thought I'd go back to the galley and get you something.
Ah, good idea, Hap. Get 3 servings of 4J.
3 servings?
Yes, you've got a passenger aboard, you know.
Oh, yeah, Slate. I forgot about him. Well, how about the 5H pills?
No. And the crew eats, the prisoner eats, and the same kind of chow we do.
Sure, Commander. I'll see that Slate is taken care of.
Watch him when you take the food into the compartment.
Oh, I will, sir.
In the small galley amidships, Happy scans a row of buttons, then presses one marked 4J 3 times in succession. Within a few seconds, the concealed robot mechanism is releasing the electronically cooked foods on the tray. Happy is so fascinated in watching the process that he does not notice an even more remarkable occurrence in the galley. 2 figures in spacesuits suddenly materialize behind him. Each holds a ray gun.
Get your hands up, Cadet. Turn around.
What?
Not a yip out of you either, Buster.
Slate, how did you get out of the compartment? And you, how did you get aboard?
We'll into that later. Where's the commander?
Well, I'll tell you. He was in a hurry to get where we're going, and it was so nice out. Well, he decided to get out and walk.
Listen, Shorty, get cute with me. I'll finish you right now. Now, let's have it. Where's Corey?
He could be almost any place in the ship. Try the bowling alley on the lower deck.
Give me one more chance, Space.
Got it, Brock. Can't you see it's stalling? Corey's probably at the controls waiting for his lunch. If the cadet isn't up there pretty quick, Corey will come back here to investigate.
Okay. Let's plug the comical cadet and go after Corey.
Wait a minute. Look at that food. The service for 3. Who's the extra lunch for?
It was for you, Slate. And I punched the button with my own little hand. Now, aren't you ashamed?
Now, listen, Cadet. No more fooling. Take 2 trays and go up forward to the control block. Quiet, this. Now, get this, Cadet. Don't try to warn the commander. He'll be invisible and right behind you.
Invisible?
Get up. Pick up those trays and get me.
Oh, there you are, Hap. I was beginning to get a little worried. Here, I'll take one of those trays.
Yes, sir.
That hot cocoa smells good. Have you fed Slate yet?
No, not yet, sir. I think I'll give him his tray right now.
Happy! What got into you? Why did you throw that tray of food?
I thought they were right behind me.
You thought what? Happy, what's the matter?
They're gone. I aimed it right where their head should be, but they're gone.
Who's gone?
Slate and that other fellow. They were in their spacesuits, and suddenly they vanished. I was standing there in the galley, watching the food come out of the robo-server, and suddenly I seemed to hear a voice say...
Put up your hands.
And there's... Commander, look, it's Slate.
That's right. My pal Brock has you covered, too.
Yeah, heave the tray right through it.
And you were here all the time.
Right behind the cadet. But we're not hallucinations, Corey. We're real.
And we're going to prove it to you. The hard way.
We'll be back to Space Patrol in a moment. A big part of Christmas, especially a big part of our Christmas cards and packages, are Christmas seals. The seals that fight tuberculosis. TB strikes 1 American every 5 minutes. But progress in the fight against TB since the first Christmas seal was sold has met a saving of more than 7 million lives. The Christmas seals we use on our cards and packages help bring the greatest gift of all, the gift of good health, not only to our friends, but to everyone. This year, use the new double Christmas seals, One red, one green. The colors of Christmas. Answer your Christmas seal letter. If you haven't received yours yet, mail your contribution to your Tuberculosis Association. They'll see that you get your Christmas seal. Remember, your contribution is the important one. Thank you. Now back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Invisible Enemy. Buzz and Happy aboard the Terra 5 are transporting the criminal Clayton Slate to Venus. Undetected by the space patrollers, Ralph Boger maneuvered his own spaceship alongside the Terra 5, making it completely invisible by means of a special electronic field. The field also made it possible for Boger's accomplice, Benton Gruck, to step through the solid hulls of the ship and liberate Slate. Gruck and Slate suddenly materialized in the control cabin, taking Buzz and Happy completely by surprise. The two criminals, weapons in hand, are advancing on the space patrol.
Just stand where you are, Corey. Slate and I figure out the easiest way to handle it.
Who are you? And how did you get aboard?
Not that the information is going to do you any good, but I'm Benton Gruck. I got aboard from the ship that's alongside yours.
So Boger can make an entire spaceship invisible, even to viewscope rays, huh?
That's right.
It's going to be a big mystery what happened to you, Corey. Space Patrol will probably find your ship circling in space. And I wonder how I escaped and how...
Wait a minute, Slate. Better check with Boger.
Yeah, maybe we better.
Gruck, the Boger. Come in.
Boger here. Did you get Corey?
Yeah, we're holding our ray guns on Corey and the cadet now. How do you want to finish him?
Well, put them to sleep with their ray gun. Then smash their space-phone transmitter. And before you leave the Terra 5, open the outer airlock. And the air escape? Well, that will take care of them.
Okay, Boger. Hey, Corey, move away from those controls. I want you hitting them when you fall. Come on, move.
All right, Gruck. I guess you win this one.
What's the matter, Corey? A little weak in the knees, huh?
My footstep, that's all. I probably stepped in front of that food Happy tossed
around. He's scared, Gruck. The great Corey is scared.
All right, have it your way.
Hey, what's that? What's happening to the ship?
Gruck! Slate! What is wrong over there? I can't see the Terra 5.
Gruck, I'm blacking out.
I don't know what's happening, Corey, but I'm gonna get...
Grab Slate, Happy. Gruck's folded.
Yes, sir. Slate blacked out too, Commander. Ease him under the deck. I guess you must have hit the star drive control with your elbow when you slipped.
Yes, that's all.
A lucky accident. Hey, you did it on purpose. Hey, imagine knowing those controls so well you can work them with your back turned and make it look like an accident.
Now that we're in hyperspace, Boger can't find us.
Yeah, we've got two of his men.
Get those spacesuits off of them before they revive. I don't want to have to search this ship for invisible men.
Yes, sir. I've got our hyperspace vector figured out, sir. We'll be cutting back into regular space in a few minutes.
Good. I think Grock's coming around now. Grock, snap out of it. Grock, can you hear me?
What happened?
You're in hyperspace. You're as invisible to your pal Boger as you were to us.
Hyperspace? Stardrive. We got away from Boger by kicking into Stardrive. Where's Slate?
He's locked up back out.
Yeah. Instead of losing us, Cook, now we've got two.
And we're going to have three, Grock. They're going to help us. Where's Boger's hideout?
I don't know.
Don't give me that. If you've got the idea that Boger can rescue you, just forget it. Where's his hideout?
Probably got several.
I found this map in your pocket. A chart of a section of Venus. Now, what does this mark here indicate?
I don't know.
You're carrying around a map of a desolate section of Venus and you don't know what it is?
Well, maybe I'm going prospecting someday.
Well, I'm going to jump your claim.
What do you mean?
If this map had nothing to do with Boger, you wouldn't be so evasive. Cap, we're coming out of Star Drive. When we pull out, set a vector for Venus.
At an altitude of several miles, Buzz scans the surface of the planet Venus, as projected on the viewscope screen, while Happy keeps an eye on Benton Gruck.
There's a structure down there between two rows of hills, but no sign of any activity.
How does it check with the mark on Grock's chart?
That pinpoints it exactly. Brock, have you changed your mind about talking? What is that building down there?
You're smart, Corey. You figure it out.
I have. Bolger knows that even if you don't willingly tell me what you know about him, I can get it with a brainogram. The first thought will be to rush to the most important hideout that you do know about.
Yeah? Why? To wait for you to arrest him?
No. No, to destroy evidence and to pick up valuable equipment or money that he has hidden. That's it, isn't it?
Oh. No, you're way off. Way off.
We'll see. Happy locked Rock up in another compartment. I'll land the ship and we'll search that building.
With Rock and Slate securely locked up in the ship, Buzz and Happy landed Terra 5 a few hundred yards from the low, sprawling building in the Venus Hills. Now they stand before the heavy front door.
Probably be a job to break it in. Bolger must feel that isolation is all the protection he needs out here. It is Bolger. Sure seems deserted, all right. It's empty. A bunch of filing cabinets. Some of us here. Through that other door. Come on. No one's in here either. Hey, look. It's some sort of a lab. There's no other door. Whoever came into this room is still here. Sure, there's no place to hide. Or do you need a place to hide? Huh? Oh, the ultra vibration field. Hey, he can be invisible. At the door. Too late. We're locked in.
That's right. You walked into a trap, Corey.
It's Bolger, all right. He's on the other side of the door.
And escape from you is if I were a million GUs away.
Let's hit that door, Hap. Yes, sir.
Listen to me, Corey. You are wasting your time. You can't break out of that lab.
This door has to get some time.
Yes, but you won't live that long.
What do you mean?
I have a bottle of acid in my hand. When I turn on the vibration field, I can hurl the bottle right through the wall into that room.
Oh, tricks, huh?
Yes, it's an amazing trick. Inside the room, the bottle will leave the vibration field and become powered again. It will crash and break.
And then what?
Just wait and see, Corey. Wait and see.
He cut on the field. Is Bolger kidding us? Can he really throw a bottle through a solid? I don't know, but if he does, try to catch it. There's the bottle. It came right through the door. Right through the door! Smoking rockets. The lab's on fire. Quick, Hap. You gotta break down that door. You! Hit the door, Hap! The fire's spreading, sir. If the door doesn't get pretty soon, we're finished!
Back aboard the Terra 5, Benton Grock sits on his bunk in the locked compartment, moodily contemplating his fate. At a strange sound, he raises his head, then leaps to his feet in amazement as a figure materializes just inside the bulkhead.
Bolger. You surprised about?
Oh, Bolger, listen. Coy and the cadet are searching your hideout.
Yes, I know. They came in while I was finishing up a few details.
You were here? Well, where's your ship? We didn't see it.
Of course not. I left the field on. It's invisible.
What about Coy?
I expect he and the cadet are having a rather hard time right now. There's our friend, Slade.
2 compartments aft, I think.
That's fine. Stand close to me. I'm going to turn on the field up high enough to include both of us. All right, Grock. Through the bulkhead. We release Slade, and then we get to my ship.
In the burning laboratory, Buzz and Happy are exhausted from their efforts to break down the door. Nearly overcome by smoke from the flaming acid, they prepare for another effort.
I'm only good for one more smash at the door, sir. From the smell of that smoke, that's pyronectic acid. If we can find a chemical to neutralize it, I wouldn't know it if I saw it. I'll start looking through these cabinets. No, nothing here that's any good. No chemicals at all in this one. Just belts. Maybe we'd better take one last try at the door. Yeah. These belts. They're just like the ones Brock was wearing. Put one on. They can get us out of here. Yeah, I suppose you haven't cut off that steel transmitter. Better work fast. I'm going to give my belt a trial. I'll turn the control knob until I can put my hand through this cabinet. Hey, you've got it, Commander. Turn yours to number 4, Hap. Yes, sir. Got it. Okay, come on. Walk through the door. We made it. Cut the vibration control. Get to the front door. Be careful. We'll just stay maybe around. Yes, sir. Okay, Hap. Hold it. It's clear, sir. It's over there. Sam. Bolger, Slake, and Grock. Keep back in. They don't see it. Doesn't look like they're coming here. But where are they headed? Probably to Bolger's ship. The ship? The ship must have landed a long way off. It's got the invisibility field on. We didn't see it when we landed. Oh, sure. Well, we tried to stop them before they get to the ship. We can't see it. We don't want them to see us first. How about making ourselves invisible? We don't have those special electronic spectacles. Putting the spell control up a few notches would make us invisible, all right, but we'd be blind. How come? Probably because our optic nerves and the retinas of our eyes would be transparent to light. Without the goggles to rectify the light frequencies, we wouldn't do anything by being invisible. If we could get behind them and sneak up. That's our only chance. We'll pass behind that thick clump of trees. We can make it to the trees where these fairly close. Yeah, but provided they don't change their direction. All right, let's go.
How far is it to the ship, Butcher?
Oh, less than 100 yards. It's just this side of the big green soap.
Imagine being that close to a spaceship and not being able to see it.
Mm-hmm. You're seeing the oak right through the hull, Gruff.
One thing, sure, Butcher. We really took care of Corey. Look at the smoke and flames shooting up over that clump of trees.
Yes. The laboratory is in an inferno by now. In a few minutes, the entire building will collapse in flames.
I gotta hand it to you, Butcher. Corey sure met his match this time.
There is nothing in our way anymore, gentlemen. Incidentally, I will have to board the ship first and cut off the fuel transmitter.
Why?
To materialize the ship. Otherwise, you couldn't see to get aboard. And you would pass right through the hull.
Oh, sure, I forgot about it. Look behind us.
What are you? That? I thought you said you'd finished.
Listen, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Bolger, do something. Let go of me, Corey. Bolger, help us.
He's gone. Vanished.
Hey, I'm through.
All right, get up.
We didn't let you off. If Bolger hadn't run out on us.
Maybe he didn't run out.
Maybe he shut up, Doc.
Commander, I hear what Gross says. We might have run off the weapons. And being invisible, we could pop up any place.
Yeah, you better let us go, Corey. Bolger will be back with a blaster any minute. It'll work just like that bottle of acid back in the lab.
Yeah. Only this time he won't miss.
He's probably aiming at you right now, Corey. Point blank. What's that?
It's your pal, Bolger. He's deserting you.
Oh, an invisible spaceship blasting him. That's the strangest sight I've ever seen. I mean, it's the strangest sight I never saw.
We'll figure it out later, Hank. Let's get these men back to the ship. Then we'll work out a plan to trap Bolger.
Yes, sir. And the next time he shows up invisible, if he's invisible the next time I see him, if I see him, I'll grab him.
A preview of next week's Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. At this particular time in our history, millions of young men throughout the country are faced with military obligations. If you are a young man between 17 and 18 and a half, you can start fulfilling your military obligations right in your own hometown by joining the National Guard. You can go to school or hold down a job at the same time. You will go on active duty only if your outfit is needed in a national emergency. But the Guard offers many advantages and opportunities for its recruits. These include extra income, learning new skills, pilot training, retirement benefits, and sports and social activities. Get the facts about joining from your local National Guard Armory. Now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are in the Jupiter City atmosphere plant, searching for a powerful bomb hidden by the criminal Boger.
Commander, listen. Hear that? It's close to me. Here, this way. There it is. I've got to figure out how to deactivate this thing. 10 seconds, Commander. It's getting ready to go off. If this isn't the right control, Jupiter City will be blown off the planet.
Be with us next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The City of Hidden Doom. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Norm Jolly, Ken Mayer, and Bela Kovac. Lee Zimmer speaking. Don't forget to tune in next Saturday at the same time for exciting adventure on Space Patrol. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.